What's up, everybody? What rain? There's no rain out there, man. I'm broadcasting live right here from Pike's Pub right here in beautiful Bucks County. 50-cent wings tonight. Got a packed house as always right here. They said everything was canceled. This is not canceled. It looks good. Skies are clear. Everybody's good. Little rain. It's all dried up. But we got a big game tonight. We got a lot of special things to talk about tonight. Most importantly, what the hell's going on with the Phillies, right? Again, I'm Tony Cutillo. I'm your host, Heat Ratio Sports, right here. Make sure you're live and subscribing to the channel. We're live right now. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. And we're live right here remotely, right from Pike's Pub. Now, we got a big game. What's up, Adam? As always, my man Adam checking in. He's always checking in. Adam, you better be here next week. That's all I got to tell you. Now, this is going to be a new venture for me as well. I got a lot of people here. They might want to hear me. They might not want to hear me. They might want to tell me to shut up. They might want to grab a microphone. It's up to them. It's all good. If you want to grab a microphone, we got a microphone right here. You want to talk about Philly sports? You want to talk about fantasy sports? You want to talk about sports betting? Whatever you want. Just a little bit of background about me if you're listening live on remote or if you're giving me your spare minute here in the pub. I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this about 15 years. And listen, you never know what your audience is going to bring. I do Sirius Satellite, Sirius XM, Channel 87 on Saturday and Sunday nights, the Win Daily Show. I host 2-hour shows right there. My man Adam says prayers for Freddie Freeman's family. As always, yeah, man, that was a special moment last night. Definitely a special moment. Now, just so everybody knows, usually there's a game at 6:40, but tonight, obviously, we're a West Coast trip. So we decided to start this a week early. We're going to start this live for these Philly games so we can bet. We're going to hear some music in the background. You got the news in the background. Whatever you want to talk. I'm just not talking politics. That's all. Just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. My man Rocco, I saw the like, man. I saw you checking in. Adam says, I will be there Tuesday. Had to work late today. No problem, buddy. You make like an hour-long travel. Adam makes an hour-long travel. He followed me at Steam Pub. He's been at the Blue Bar, and now he's going to be here at Pike's Pub. He's been all over here in Bucks County. And by the way, 50-cent wings. It's wing night here at Pike's Pub. It's wing night. So make sure you get in. And they got a nice big pool table on the side. They got a nice big bar. They got about 15 TVs. They got all your beverages. And obviously they got the killer wings, Korean barbecue, hot, spicy, and all kinds of stuff for you to wet your whistle. But just a little bit, like I said, about myself. I've been doing this a long time, about 10 to 15 years. Started back in the day, man, with our own little YouTube channel back there, Philly influencer of Fox Sports. Turned down a couple jobs because I wanted to be with the family. COVID hit. Built a studio in the basement, and now I broadcast live all the time. Got a morning show coming, starting September 9th at 10 a.m. And it's on Heat Ratio Sports, man. So if you want to if you like the content, make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Now, Adam, you talked about prayers for Freddie Freeman's family. One of the best things about Freddie Freeman's family was, or I should say about Freddie Freeman himself, was the Phillies family and organization and what they were able to do. He mentioned Bryce Harper specifically. He mentioned a lot of people specifically that really reached out to him. He also talked about going to Milwaukee and talked to Pat Murphy himself, which is a big deal, right? Which is a big deal because, listen, that's a union brotherhood, man. That's a brotherhood. And that's a big deal when you talk about whether I worked in a union shop for 21 years. I worked at USW, United Steelworkers Union. And I know, man, when one brother goes down, we all go down, right? So Freddie Freeman, obviously dealing with a lot with his 3-year-old son. He's on the road to recovery, which is great. Now, here's what we want to do too. We got a full schedule. I don't know if everybody knows the great Chris Franklin from NJ.com. Chris Franklin will be joining me on the line right from NovaCare, right from the NovaCare complex, from Eagles training camp. He'll be checking in. What's going on with those linebackers? What's going on with the third wide receiver? What's going on with Jalen Hurts? There's a lot of adversity, man. A lot of adversity. I'm not down on this team at all. So I'm really hyped up. And listen, one thing I will tell you is with Heat Ratio Sports, we're not just Philly. Okay, we talk about everything. And one of the biggest things that I like to do is go down that sports betting and fantasy football type atmosphere. I know everybody's getting ready for their fantasy football drafts. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know I'm looking forward to it. Got a Hello Neighbor League that I'm in Southampton. Again, broadcasted live right here from Pike's Pub in Southampton. 18966 is the zip code. Very easy to get to. Off on 400 2nd Street Pike, right across from from the new Dunkin' Donuts that's going in, which should be pretty nice because it's got a drive-through. So we'll see. I could probably use that a little later after 3 hours, right? 3 hours. So first hour is going to be some Phillies talk. So first hour is obviously, are we major concern, minor concern, no concern at all? What did we talk about with the Phillies in the second half? Are we worried? Who's to blame and to why? The unfair criticism all day, in my opinion, of the bats and Garrett Stubb. It's all about pitching right now. Pitching's just not getting it done, except for Wheeler the other night that goes 8 innings, and we needed that and 4 home runs from him to get it done. And tonight's preview of the game and best bets, we hit the Bryce Harper plus 325 home run prop the other night. We just missed the over on Nola K's. He left the game early. If he wouldn't have had that bad third inning, we probably would have been okay. And then we're going to hour 2, we're going to talk some Eagles talk. Are you past last year's collapse? Why do we still have a linebacker problem? I feel like every year we have a linebacker problem when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I just don't understand it. And then Vic Fangio, man, this guy, I don't know if you know about Vic Fangio, but what I will tell you about Vic Fangio is he's old school. Like, he is an old school kind of guy. He's like that Jim Johnson kind of mystique, right? Jim Johnson's just an old school guy, expects a lot. So again, I like that a lot for this team because I think they need it. Obviously, they need a little change. They need somebody getting their ass a little bit, and I think that's very, very important. And then, again, like I said, we're going to talk to Chris Franklin. He's on NJ.com. So if you don't read him, you need to start reading him because he's the best beat writer, in my opinion, for the Philadelphia Eagles. He doesn't fabricate anything. He's not trying to get any clickbait out there. He's just giving you the real live updates. What's going on with the Eagles. And he's right there every day, man. He's every day watching it. He's watching it unfold. I had him on plenty of times with me on my Sirius show. And, he was very informative, man. The fans really liked him because, again, he let them know what was going on. Now, the fun part about the Eagles is we always bleed green in this town. And bleeding green, obviously, is Eagles chants, is filling 50,000 at an open practice, the autism challenge they do every year. But most importantly, man, right now we have a quarterback who is the face of the NFL. If you haven't seen the commercial, Jalen Hurts is the face of the NFL. He's being drafted as a #1 quarterback in fantasy football, and for good reason. The reports are he's moving faster at camp. All those lingering injuries probably, again, are a little bit behind him, but it's curious to see what he does. Now, will he play Friday night? I don't know. We'll get into that. Does anybody really care about the preseason? I really don't. I think it's just a money grab for the NFL, in my opinion. They might as well just have the open practices and the joint practices because I feel like that's really all they do. And then the 3 hour, in the third hour, I should say, we got fantasy football talk, man. We got some fantasy. But do you play for fun? Do you play for money? Do you play for both? With the top guys you're going to target, all these questions. Listen, there's an open microphone here. If you're coming by, I know I got a bunch of people coming by. There's an open microphone. Adam, this microphone's for you next week. If you do show up, my man, Rick, I know you're watching. Happy 50th, buddy. Welcome to the 50th club. I know you're here a lot. So if you want to come on by. You can grab a microphone. Just, no really, no crazy stuff, man. Because I know how you get, man. You get a little crazy, but that's all in fun, right? And then we'll talk some NFL future props and team bets because that's really what I love to do. Right, I love to do. I don't know if we got bettors in the house. We got bettors online. I know we got a couple people are big time sports bettors, probably betting on some baseball tonight. Listen, I could lock you in best bets. What do I got? What do we have over at Win Daily Sports? We got some great models and some great programs that help you hit on your plays. But Adam, 1 hour and 14 minutes from your house, you're gonna make me give you gas money, man. Like you're literally gonna make you give you gas money. Let me adjust this microphone for a minute. But Adam, that's a long trip, man. You better be careful. That's all I gotta say. You better be careful. That is a long trip, man. Fuge, what's up, buddy? Fuge and Fleet, 50 and Fleet, my man Fuji. As always, man. Hopefully I get to see you here. Hopefully you and Rick come by, right? Hopefully you and Rick come by because that'll be fun. Get the gang back into it again. Adam, did you see the video where he was running? Had a stutter step. He didn't have that last year. Are you saying in a good way or a bad way? because all the videos that I seen of him, he was running pretty well, man. He was running really, really well. I think that everything that was lingering with him physically and mentally should be in the past. It really should. There was a lot made out about what was, in a good way. Okay, yeah, in a good way. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely has that extra boost, right? He has that extra boost that we haven't seen in a while. So second hour, we're gonna get all the Eagles talk again because we got Chris Franklin joining us. So we want to know, like, are you concerned? Because I am a little bit concerned about the linebackers, but that's about it, man. I think this team is going to set some records offensively. They needed the new change, obviously. I don't know if they start off super quick. There are some injuries to the offensive line already. We have to kind of look at who's going to be in the guard. Listen, that cat that they picked up from the Jets, the former first round pick, and Mekhi Becton, man, I'll tell you what, that is a stone cold find, man. That is a gem. Howie doing it again. This dude can absolutely play on all sides, whether it be guard or tackle. And they have him working at a guard. And he's massive. He's a massive body, which is something that you definitely need. Adam, what were you thinking about when you watched? I know you watched the game last night because you did pregame, you did postgame. When you were watching that game last night, you were watching that third inning from Aaron Nola give up those 4 runs. Were you thinking already? Did you already pack it in at that point? Did you think that we weren't going to come back? Look at that. I got like the angel sun behind me, like coming down. I feel like I should have a halo right now. It's early. That sun is shining bright right through the American flag behind me, which is interesting. I really didn't plan it that way, but that's okay. But what were you thinking, Adam? Were you good? Because right away I was thinking of that one inning that Aaron Nola always gives us. He's been great, man. He really has 3.43 ERA, 11-4 going into last night. He's been really good, but that one inning is what really always defines him at times. And right now our bats are not coming through, man. They're just not coming through. Actually watching Kellen Moore right now talk. He talked today, and when he talked about the understanding of the offense with Jalen Hurts. He talked about, all that we're going to get into in the second hour. I can't wait for that. My man Tyler checking in. Tyler, who again is doing post game and pregame for Heat Ratio Sports. Make sure you're following, subscribing. The channel will be here every Tuesday night from 6 to 9 at Bike's Pub on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and live right here, remote for Wing Night, 50-cent wings. Make sure you get out here. And I will give you, listen, I'll tell you what, this place is a secret find to food enthusiasts. I'm going to tell you, man, you want to eat well and you want to eat for a good price. This is where you want to get for those bar snacks, man. I'm talking $3 cheesesteaks, right? 50-cent wings. This is where you want to be, man. I'm telling you, it's a find. They could go over. You could play pool. They got pool leagues going on. You come back over. You have something to eat. You watch a little TV. Maybe grab a microphone, talk some sports. Maybe put some bets in. Talk some fantasy. Go back, play pool, and then have another drink, man. That's what it's all about. Tyler says Caleb Cotham should have went to the mound before Ohtani came up. Here's the thing. Great players going to do great things, man. Great players are going to do great things, right? I mean, that's what we do. Great players do great things, and listen, they go long. I didn't expect anything less, man. He has not hit a home run, right? What did you say, Tyler, in the pregame? He had to hit a home run against the Phillies, and what happens? Boom, Ohtani hits a home run, man. Like you said, we knew you were going to jinx it. It happens all the time. We hear it happen all the time. It's one of those things, like an unspoken word, right? We just shouldn't say it. It's like the unspoken word. Tyler, again, I couldn't make it up last night, man. I just couldn't do it, man. It was a late game. I don't know how many people wait up for these West Coast trips, but I'm old, man. I am old. Once I hit 40, that was it. That was it. It was downhill after that. But I'm gonna try tonight because I'm pretty pumped here, man. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I want to give a shout out to, again, my man Matt McCarthy for taking care of this and having us try this out and seeing what people think and having people out, having some fun. Because that's the thing, man. Let's have some fun in this crazy ass freaking world right now. with everything going on, man. Sports brings a lot of people together. Sports brings everybody together. So let's have some fun. That's the thing. Let's have some fun, man. Let's win some bets. We're gonna be live betting on the games, which will be fun. You know, whether it's get a hit, whether it's get hits plus runs plus RBIs. We'll do some home run props. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna see what hits. Tonight's gonna be a pretty juicy lineup, man. Tonight's gonna be a pretty juicy lineup. We got Sanchez on the mound. We're gonna break that down in a minute. Adam says I kept watching till the 8th inning, but we had 2-0 lead. Then the next inning, we gave up 4 runs. I was like crazy. Adam's like, screw it. I'm going to bed. That's what happens, man. That's what happens. It is a really, really tough thing to do. Is stay off for those road trips, man. 10-10. And just think about this. Back in the day, it used to be 10:30. It used to be 10:30. My man Rocco checking in. Man, right around the corner, my man. Right around the corner. My man Rocco shot out Thackeray Crane. Says, Vegas get money off of us Phillies fans since we're all cleaning up after the first half of the year. You're damn right, man. You're damn right. And I'll tell you, you know, the funny thing, looking at the numbers, Rocco, you know, now's the time to buy in, man. Now it's time because everybody's going to be off on the Phillies a little bit. So now's when you want to buy in those bets. Now we want to lock in those live second half bets because when they back off, when Vegas backs off, because I'm gonna throw a cut up real fast. Yeah, exactly, 100%. If you listen to this, see, here's what I will say. Again, Tony Cutillo, make sure you follow. You can follow me at Rise with Tony on all social formats, and make sure you're following at Heat Ratio Sports, the network where you're coming from live right now, digitally and remotely from Pike's Pub. But here's the funny thing. You know, when Vegas is off the Phillies, it's because the national pundits are off the Phillies, right? So all of a sudden today, everybody's coming out and starts talking about let's retract all our Philly statements. Let's retract what we said in the beginning because now it's not fun, right? Now it's not fun. It's the easy clickbait to sit there and say the Phillies are going to be the one team, right? The Phillies are going to be the one team that does not make it. That's it. And here's a clip, right? Here's a clip today. Now, this is from, I'm not a big Mad Dog Russo guy, but here is a clip. This clip right here, you can hear what they say. It's 2 minutes. Listen to what they ask. What team do they think can be the fallback team, which means falls back out of first place? And listen to what they say.
Mr. Russo, I ask you this. Which current National League division leader is most vulnerable to being surpassed? If you look at the stats right now, everyone's hovering around that 5 to 6 game mark. The Phillies are 5.5 games above the Braves. The Brewers with the 6-game advantage in the Central. The Dodgers 5 games ahead of both the D-backs and the Padres, which are tied. Who has the most vulnerability out of these 3?
Boy, that's a good question. Milwaukee, no, because the teams behind them aren't very good. The Phillies, you know, the Braves and the Mets or the Dodgers with the 3. I'm going to say the Phillies only because the Dodgers are getting a lot of reinforcements back. And Arizona, San Diego, and the Giants could knock each other off because they're going to play a lot of games against each other. Braves have 2 series left with the Phillies. The Mets have 2 series left with the Phillies. The Mets and the Braves only play 1 series. I think all of them are home free anyway, but if you're asking me from that perspective, I'll do a little bit of a surprise for you. I'd say the Phillies. I think they're a little more vulnerable than the other 2.
I still believe very heavily in the Phillies. There's just something about this team. I think they're even better in 2024 than they were in 2023. Of the 2 teams, though, between the Mets and the Braves, who do you think has the best chance? I feel like the Braves have just been decimated by injuries to very, very key players. I don't know if they can do what they did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's a very good point. You know, the Mets are very plucky. They give everything they have. They won a big game yesterday in St. Louis. They'll be in the race. They're not great, but they'll be in the race the rest of the way. The Braves might be overcome by these injuries. A bad series for the Marlins. Excellent point on your part. I guess I'll have to say the Mets. I mean, it's hard to believe. The Mets are only 2 back of Atlanta, but I probably would say the Mets only because, as you said, with the injuries that Atlanta has sustained all year. Eventually, you're going to have to not be able to overcome them all. So I'll say the Mets.
See, right away, man. You see what's going on. Look at that clear picture now. sun goes away, and now we got a clear picture. Look, my halo has gone away. But that's what happens right there. So if you're a betting guy, this is the time that you want to jump in on the Phillies, and you want to jump in on them because, again, when you hear the national perspective, when you hear the national audience, and when you hear them and they're starting to fall back on the Phillies, that's when you want to put the money up. That's when you want to put that money up, because I agree with her when she says, I think this team is better than 2023. Okay. I am not scared whatsoever. I'm not scared at all. Everything is going to be okay. They have too many good players to allow this to fall off. Last year, stop comparing them to the Eagles of last year, please. I don't want to hear about that. That was a monumental collapse. That was something that happened because of other things that were going on, besides football, right? So when it's all about baseball, okay, when you talk about the Phillies, look at the way this team is built, the leadership that they have on this team. And I think that's very, very important. The leadership on this team. Now, when you look at tonight, okay, this is the kind of game that we need to come back and we have to do something well, right? So let's break it down right now. 10-10, obviously, Dodger Stadium still away. Going to be interesting. Clayton Kershaw, for my money, man, if this guy did not have a back injury, if this guy did not have a bad back, I'll tell you what, man, he is a surefire Hall of Famer, no doubt. We wouldn't even be questioning it. But last start, very, very bad. Looks like he's going to get 1 or 2 innings to see what happens tonight. That's about it. But you got Christopher Sanchez, who, again, another guy who's hit kind of a rocky road, right? He goes 7-7 now, 3.36 ERA, 98 strikeouts. He has to find himself again. And, the bullpen has to find themselves again. Everybody has to find themselves again. And I think that's what we need to look at tonight. And this is it. Listen, this is the lineup that they're getting. Here's where we could get lucky. Dodgers are getting ready to go on a really big trip. I think it's 10 games, a 10-game road trip themselves. So you may see them rest a couple players in these 2 games. Tonight's got to be a win, man. I don't know how everybody feels, but tonight's got to be a win, right? Tonight has to be a win. And the reason why it's got to be a win is because we need to win a series. We haven't won a series. We have to get back to winning series. And that's the biggest thing. We have to get back to winning those series. If we can't do that, what do we have, man? What do we have? And right now, let's see what we got tonight. Let's see what the numbers are tonight. I'm going to log in right now because I'm curious to see these stupid codes that you got to put in there. 667-880. All right, so here's where we're at. Let's look at the numbers tonight. Now we're going to look at the numbers. You know what, man? For some reason, this is not coming up. Let's try it again. Let's see what happens. So, here we go. Best thing about live, man. When you're live, you go through these numbers. Very simple. All right, so let's see what we're looking at tonight. So we're looking at right off the bat. We're looking at the Phillies on the money line, -108, man. -108 on the money line. That's close to plus money. That's close to plus money. That's a good bet to get right there with the Phillies because, listen, I think it's going to be a bullpen game for the Dodgers. It's going to be a bullpen game for the Dodgers because there's something off with Clayton Kershaw. There's something off with Clayton Kershaw. He's not ready, man. I'm telling you, he's not ready to take back his reign. So I think this will be a bullpen, and that bullpen for the Dodgers can be beat. Now, over and under 8.5 when we talk about runs. I don't know, man. I'm going to side towards the over. I think that after last night, there'll be more than the 8 runs scored. I think the Phillies break out because of the bullpen game. And again, looking at the run line, man, -1.5. The Phillies getting 1.5 at plus 150. That's interesting. That's interesting because I feel like if the Phillies are going to win tonight, they're not going to win by like 6-3 or 6-4. They're going to win like 8-1 or 8-2. I really feel that way. It's going to go one way or the other, right? I do. I feel like it's going to go one way or the other because of the pitchers. My man Rocco says Phillies blowout tonight. I like it, Rocco. That's what I'm saying. I like the blowout tonight. My man Tyler says Trey Turner batting 455 against Kershaw. Big game from him tonight. So there's some bet numbers right there because you got 455 against Kershaw and he's in a slump. So he's ready, man. He is poised to break out, man. I'm liking this. We're going to look at some Trey Turner numbers. We're looking at some bets for Trey Turner before we finish the Philly segment up and see what we can put on the line for Trey Turner. If anybody's betting Trey Turner, let me know. Yeah, I like the home run prop. The home run. See, here's the thing about the home run prop. I don't get crazy, right? You really, even though it's batting 455, I don't know if everybody bets it, but I like the HRR, which is hits plus runs plus RBIs, because you get that over 1.5, and then he could get that 1.5 to 2 any other way that he could do it, right? That's the biggest thing. He could get it any other way he could do it. So I like the over 1.5 RR. You can only get that on DraftKings, by the way. Okay, you can only get that on DraftKings. So right now, home run prop. Say you wanted a home run prop for Trey Turner. That's plus 450. All right, that's plus 450. So that's some good. Listen, that's some good money right there, man. 10 gets you 45, right? 10 gets you 45. But 100 gets you 450. Depends on if you're a high roller or you're not, right? Hey, man, it all depends on what you like to do. So let's look at the HRR because that's one of the really cool stats. I don't know if anybody plays that. I play that a lot. So hits plus runs plus RBIs. If you look at Trey Turner, over 1.5 is minus 130. So it's got a little juice on it, not crazy. Minus 130 could still hit a decent payday. I don't go above minus 125 or minus 130. It's just not a lot of value. Look at Bryce Harper over 1.5 is minus 120. I think you got better value with Harper at over 1.5 minus 120. Let's throw that up there. Let's throw both of these up there. We got Bryce Harper. And this is on DraftKings, okay? This is on DraftKings right now. Bryce Harper over 1.5 HRR at minus 120. I like that. I like that a lot because, listen, man, Harper's going to come out, man. You know that. Over 1.5, man, hits plus right. You see these 2 hits. He had it last night, man. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you can definitely get this number. It's very, very attainable, especially like I said, if Kershaw does not make it out of the first few innings, which is highly, highly anticipated. Okay, it's highly likely that happens. Now, Trey Turner, we'll put him up there because my man Tyler says he's batting 455 against Kershaw lifetime. His 1.5 HRR is minus 130. But let's see what his home run prop. His home run prop is plus 450. So we're going to have to really dissect that. And again, if these numbers straight from DraftKings, bet 5, get 150, free instant bets, man. If you put live bets on, that's how you do it. If anybody ever does any of those deals, make sure to get that free money. You got to bet that day. I don't think everybody understands that. You have to bet that day. If you do not bet that day, you're not going to get it until that play happens. So, for instance, if you were to bet for a Super Bowl winner, that's fine. NFL future bets, right? But you're not going to get that $150 instantly until the Super Bowl, right? It's when that bet place, right? When does that place? When does that tally? That's when you're going to get it, man. That's it. So you want to make sure you get a live bet in for them. Adam says, I like home runs, but the Phillies, they need some small ball too. They need the fundamental hitting back, right? They need the fundamental hitting. That's what they need back. They have to move runners. They have to bunt guys over. They have to hit those sacrifice flies. That's the stuff they were doing at the beginning of the year that they're not doing now. They're not doing that now. And to me, that's a problem. That's a problem. So we want to get them back to doing that. We want to get them back to their comfort zone. Right here, we got some live dart action going on right here, which is fun. We got some live dart action going on. Make sure you get down here. 50-cent wings right here, man, at Pike's Pub. Right here in beautiful Bucks County, Southampton, PA, right off of 2nd Street Pike, right next to Mount Fiji, right next to Southampton Beverage right here. You come in, get your cold drinks, get your good food. Like I said, man, I'm going to run down the list what they have here. When we go to break, I'm going to give you a list of all the specials they have every night. Because they have something different every night. Tuesdays and Thursdays is wing night for 50 cents. Then you got $3 cheesesteaks, man. Where do you get $3 cheesesteaks from? I need to ask you that. Where do you get $3 cheesesteaks? I'll also tell you right now, we got a lot. I want to make sure I get it through. You got Friday karaoke, man, with DJ Billy from 9 to 1. Saturday always has live music. Thursday Quizzo with DJ MCX, and music bingo with DJ Rick on Wednesdays. Best thing to do, man, obviously happy hour. Menu is from 4 to 6, 50 cents off all drinks. Monday, $3 cheeseburgers. Wednesday, $3 cheesesteaks. Friday, $3 pizzas and 50-cent wings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And again, just follow the Facebook page, man. Not only will you see the food, you'll see the menu. You'll get all the live updates. You'll get everything. And listen, you'll get to see that great entertainment schedule as well, so you can stop on down to see us. I'll tell you what, man, about 40, 50 people in here, people playing pool, people playing darts, people having a good old time, man. And this is what it's supposed to be, man. This is what sports is supposed to do. It's supposed to bring people together. Pubs bring people together. Everybody's just having a good old time, whether they're hanging out here for the night, before they go home. It doesn't matter. Tony Cutillo here, Heat Ratio Sports. Make sure you're following and liking that YouTube page, because, again, all digital, man. All digital. That's what we're talking about. All digital programming. You don't always have to go to the dial. We want to have some fun. Listen, big news on the dial too. Let's not look the other way, right? Let's not look the other way. You got, I don't know if anybody's a Mike Missinelli guy, but Missinelli comes back. Were we surprised that he was going to come back? No, hell no, right? You already hear that? No, Mikey Miss, right? But that's okay. We all knew he was going to come back, man. He's still going to do the podcast. But here's one thing about Mikey Miss. He has a huge following. He has a huge audience that he continues to enhance, that follow him no matter where he goes, whether it be WIP, whether it be the Fanatic. It doesn't really matter. He is everywhere. He is everywhere, and wherever he goes, the following goes. So, hey, listen, I ain't gonna lie. I always used to turn in to Mikey Miss. He was one of the guys I first started to listen to back in the day to get into this live arena of sports talk. Again, Heat Ratio Sports live from Pike's Pub. Talking about the Phillies. You know, all day today, I keep seeing people want to blame everything on my man Garrett Stubbs. Like, I don't know why everybody be hating on Garrett Stubbs. Like, he is who he's a backup catcher, man. Like, you know, if we're, I said this before last year, well, actually in the preseason, when we were coming in with Rojas and we were saying, look, everybody's like, oh, we can't have Rojas hitting. He can't hit. He can't do this. He can't do that. Listen, all the superstars on this team, if we're relying on our number 9 hitter, that's basically the pitcher spot before they had a universal DH to be able to get us a hit, then we don't deserve the win. We don't deserve the win. If we're relying on Garrett Stubbs. Now, I will say a lot of people are talking about the decision, right? The decision to keep Stubbs in that spot. So that's the interesting part. Should Rob Thompson, should he have been able to pinch hit for Garrett Stubbs? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, it's hard for me because it's not like the guy's perfect, but at the same time, he does push a lot of right buttons. He's not all, listen, if it was only 50-50, be different, but he's way above. He's about 70-30, 80-20 in my book. So when we look at that, you know, in that full out perspective, look, I look at it and I say, you know what? I'm going to go with Rob and see what he has to do. And Garrett Stubbs, first ball swinging was bad. That, you know, it's the approach, I think, that people have to look at. The approach when you go up to the plate. And listen, he's pressing. Right? He's pressing. That's the biggest thing with him. He's pressing. He's out there pressing. He's out there trying to be everything. I don't want to get all, you know, all you could be like the Army motto, but he is. He's trying to be everything, man, because he knows, like, he is a vibe. He is the vibe in that clubhouse. And a lot of people were hitting me up before and they were talking about, you know, you can't worry about how the clubhouse is. You can't worry about culture over talent. And I highly disagree because I think culture breeds talent. Now, I'm not saying that culture is better than talent, but it's not like you're looking at him as your starting catcher. You still have JT Realmuto and Rafael Marchand. Listen, here's the thing about Marchand. Pump the brakes. The kid's good. The kid's really good. He'll be here next year. Garrett Stubbs not. Listen, I heard somebody talk about trade him and this and that. Like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. The guy's on a 1-year deal, man. The guy's on a 1-year deal. So, my man Adam checking in says, Mikey Miss is all right, but I like Rob Ellis the best. I like Rob. Rob is a Delco guy. He's a good dude. I've had Rob on the program multiple times. He got that midday spot on Saturdays from 10 to 2. With Mike Silsky, which, listen, much deserved, man. Taking over for the great Glenn Macnow. Who, again, stood the test of time. Who, I'll be honest with you, I think he was forced out, man. I do. I think he was forced out. Not in a mean way, but I think he finally, with the way that station's going, I think you can kind of see the kind of program that they want. And I just think that he was one of those last guys in that Angelo regime that they were finally like, all right, it's time to move on. But I listen, I don't agree with it. I think a guy like that is given the opportunity to continue to finish as long as he wants, because again, this is a very volatile business, very, very volatile business. You see people, they're constantly, we got more wings getting out of here right now, but constantly evolving. People going from station to station. People, look what happens to Bob Cooney. Look what happened to Bob Cooney the other day. He finishes his show at the Fanatic on middays, and because Mikey Miss is coming back, they show Bob Cooney the door, man. They let Bob go. Like, after he did the show. Call him in the office. Sorry, Bob, we're going in a different direction. I don't understand. I know that they look at age, and I know they look at labor, and I know they look at cost, and obviously they look at Mikey Miss, and he's got the audience. But the thing about that is, you couldn't find a spot. Like, you couldn't find a spot for my man Bob Cooney. Like, that's what I don't understand. I don't understand why you would not be able to find Bob Cooney a spot, man. That's the only thing. I don't think you had to get rid of him altogether. But that's Philly radio. That's the way it works. Again, Heat Ratio Sports here, where we're not just Philly. Okay, not just Philly. Let me throw up that tagline right there so we get that. We're not just Philly, because we talk about everything. That's the good part. We talk about everything. We talk about sports betting. We talk about fantasy sports. We talk about national sports. We talk about wrestling. We talk about UFC, right? Talk about it all, right? I'm not going to talk about the Olympics, and I don't know much about the Olympics, so I only talk about what I know. And what I do know is the Phillies are going to get the win tonight. The Phillies are going to ride Christopher Sanchez. The Phillies are going to beat up Clayton Kershaw, who is not 100%. This is the kind of game that they need. And then they got to win the rubber match, right? Then they got to go in on Wednesday, and they have to win the rubber match. They have to win a series. And I think that's when everybody will be okay. Now, whether you're in the bar, whether you're watching remotely, whether you're outside on the phone listening, I got a couple people texting me, listening live on the line. How do you feel about these Phillies? How do you feel, man? Is there a major concern for you? Is it a minor concern, or is it no concern at all? Right now, we're looking at like 78% of the votes say it's a minor concern, which I'm actually surprised at. 78% of the vote at a minor concern. I would think it was a major concern, man. I do. I would think it would be a major concern. And, here's the thing. I don't think it's a major concern, but the fans always listen. We are who we are, right? We overdo it all the time. We're very critical for right reason. We're very passionate. We're the most educated fan base in America, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, right? You see Saquon come here and talk about how it just has a different vibe to it, a different feel at training camp. Just think about if it was Lehigh again, right? And not at the NovaCare. Just think if it was at Lehigh again, if at Bethlehem, if it was out there, it'd be completely different, right? But again, it's not. It's at NovaCare. It's a lot of walkthroughs. It's a lot of really, really easy, cushy country club style of stuff. And we're going to get into a lot of those concerns and that adversity in the next hour. in about 15 minutes when we talk about the linebackers again, when we talk about Jalen Hurts, when we talk about the coaching staff. I'm going to give you my secret recipe for success when it comes to the coaching staff. No, it's not Vic Fangio. No, it's not Kellen Moore. It's not any of those guys. There's one guy, in my opinion, who is being overlooked as, and honestly, one of the biggest reasons on why this team and this defense is going to be so good this year. So I can't wait to get into that. And we're going to have the great Chris Franklin coming on. Chris Franklin from NJ.com. He's going to call in. He's going to be on the line. He's calling a call straight from the NovaCare Center. He covers the Eagles every single day. He's down there. He's watching it. And we'll see how it plays out. What's going to happen Friday night? Do we even worry about the preseason? So we're going to get involved in all that. And again, we're going to go back to the best bets because the best bets is where we want to make our money. Adam says, what do you think of SummerSlam this past Saturday? Adam, I'm a wrestling guy, right? Always watching wrestling. And SummerSlam was fantastic. A lot of storylines were written in SummerSlam. The Bloodline story continues to evolve. Roman Reigns, the travel tree, comes back. He'll be on SmackDown Friday. Big Raw last night. Bronson Reed getting a big push with the architect in Seth Rollins. CM Punk looks like he's going to be Hell in a Cell with Drew McIntyre. A lot of different storylines, but yeah, overall, I really do. I think SummerSlam was great. Braun Breaker, the great Steiner boy, doing us proud, doing Big Papa Pump and the Bulldog, Rick Steiner, doing him proud as being the Intercontinental Champion. And what about Gunther, man? Taking that World Championship belt. I think it's time for the Gunther run. It's time for the Ring General run. And I will say this real fast. I don't want to get on a huge wrestling discussion here, but I will say that this reminds me of a JBL type run, man. Like Gunther reminds you of the JBL type run. I think that's a really big deal. I think that's something that we really need to look at. Now, Adam, are you looking at the next, the battle in Berlin? Because I didn't know anything about that. I don't know if anybody knew about that. I didn't know about that. I had no idea, which is fine. Not a big deal. I like how they're going overseas to continue to go to different countries. I think it's a big deal bringing that wrestling flavor to everybody. I think it is a huge deal. Everybody checking in, man. Let me just say I much appreciate it. I see my man Steven checking in, my girl Alicia checking in, my man Michael checking in. Russ Coop Dog, what's up, buddy? My man Rocco, shout out Thackeray Crane, as always, right around the corner checking in. Always a big supporter. Adam, you're always there, 100%. My man Tyler checking in from Heat Racer Sports. We're loaded with people online right now. And again, if you're local, now I'll tell you, I got a microphone right next to me. If you're local, man, you come on in. You can hop on the stream. You can talk to the people, whatever you want to talk about. It is open as long as I ain't talking politics. We're talking sports. It's simple as that. We're talking sports, and that's what we want to do. Okay, that's what we want to do. We want to win some money. 10-10. Usually you got to get those bets in by 10 o'clock. Okay, got to get those bets in by 10 o'clock. But I'm telling you right now, those numbers will change. We're going to keep an eye on those numbers as they change because they will change live. That is what's going to happen. Let's see if those numbers have changed at all for the Phillies. Listen, we talked about it 20 minutes ago. And listen, that run line still sitting there at plus 150 at minus 1.5. Still sitting there. The bats, we're still 450 for the home runs. I don't know if I'm doing a 450, man. I don't know if I'm doing a 450. Hopefully some people in the audience here are going to do the HRR. You do the over 1.5 HRR. If you're not sure where to get it, let me know. I'll help you out. I'll show you where to get it. You win some money with that, man. You definitely can win some money. I don't get crazy. I tell everybody, man, listen, 1-800-GAMBLER, you know the drill. Be careful, relax. Just like watch your alcohol, watch your bets, man. Watch your bankroll. If it's $20, it's $20. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. I tell people start small. It's almost like a block pool now. Remember back in the day where we used to do, it's getting crazy here with the darts, man. It's getting good here with the darts, man. Listen, I don't know about you, but there's nothing like a good dart match, man. Have you ever watched darts on TV, Adam? Ever watch darts on TV, man? Darts and pool, it's one of the hardest sports to watch. When we're talking about going live, it's one of the hardest spot because it's so analytical, it's so precise on everything. I got 1, 2, 3 guys over here playing big, heavy dart game over here, man, which is really, really fun to watch. They're intense. Just like we're going to be intense tonight watching that Dodgers game. We're going to be intense watching the Dodgers game. We got a little league on right now, Little League World Series. We got some Olympics on right now. We got all kinds of 1, 2, 3, 4, like 12 TVs in this joint right now. You were showing a USA team up on the screen. I love watching the Little League too, man. The Little League right now is where to watch. I'm a big softball guy. Obviously used to coach softball. So I love the World Series of softball. Love watching college softball. Those girls can flat out ball. If you do like youth sports, I do have a podcast called Fighting for Overtime, where I talk about youth sports. I talk about what it's like to be a youth athlete. We have coaches on. We have athletes on. We have parents on local, right? We have a lot of people on talking about what it's like to be an athlete, the adversity, the mental health aspect of everything. What you need to look forward to if you're a young parent right now and your kids are getting involved. So it's going to be something that I give you my personal experiences and you're hearing other people's experiences as well. So that's very important. That's something that, and then if you're a Sixers person, I don't know if we have any Sixers fans, but if you are a Sixers fan, do the Blue Coats Beat, a podcast for the Delaware Blue Coats, with my man, Coach Joe, who was with the Generals, who used to battle the Harlem Globetrotters. So we do a really good show every week for the Delaware Blue Coats and for the Philadelphia 76ers. Man, PG-13. Man, what like, is this the year? I don't know. Is this the year? I don't know, man. I don't know. But listen, again, it is going to be fun. Again, if you're live on YouTube right now, have a great night. If you're live on YouTube right now, make sure you're liking, subscribe, and make sure you're following the channel, because again, this is going to be every Tuesday night. This is just a preliminary discussion. It's kind of feeling out period, man. What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to bet on? Who are you looking at? Are you looking at futures? Are you looking at fantasy football? I got so much to talk about tonight. The fantasy football discussion, if you're into fantasy football, will be fantastic. I can tell you that. We just had a few live mock drafts on Sirius this weekend, which was spectacular. We had the producers involved. We had the hosts involved. We had the callers involved. It was great, man. It was great. A lot of interesting picks. So I'm going to want to hear your take in that 8 o'clock hour when we go to 9 and we talk fantasy football. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to talk all Eagles football. We're going to talk all birds. EAGLES Eagles, fly. Got the great Chris Franklin hopping on with me from NJ.com at about 7:30, calling into the program live for the NovaCare Complex, talking about what do we need to look forward to for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, before we get out of here on break, we're going to take a 5-minute break so I can kind of get a little drink in me, get my mouth a little, undry, get ready for this Eagles talk. But this is what we came up with. If you're looking to bet tonight's Phillies game, okay, we got the money line right now, Phillies money line at -108, and I think again, this is definitely a Phillies win. This is a Phillies win tonight, -108 on the money line. We got that right now. You get that at DraftKings. That number is from DraftKings at -108. We're going to go, Adam likes the home run. I'm not going to say, or Tyler says 455 against Kershaw for Trey Turner. So let's get a little crazy. Let's go Trey Turner home run plus 450. Let's check that out as well. You see, they're happy about it. They like that bet. They like that bet right there. Listen to them right there. You like that bet? You like that? There we go, right? We like that. I love it, right? We got, yeah. And we got that Bryce Harper over 1.5 HRR at -120. We like that number as well. And if you want to juice up a number a little bit, you got the Trey Turner at over 1.5 -130. Again, man, we're going to take a little break here. We're going to get ready for some Eagles talk. We're going to talk some Eagles bets, some Eagles props. We're going to talk some Eagles football with the great Chris Franklin. And again, we're live at Pike's Pub right now, live. Man, we're getting it. We're having some fun. I'm going to turn the microphone off for a minute, about 5 minutes, get a little drink, and then we're going to have some fun when we talk about Eagles football. All right, everybody, stay tuned for more Heat Ratio Sports. Man, we're back. We're back live right here from Pike's Pub, man. I got Coach's Corner over here, man. It's gonna be fun. This is a full round Eagles talk for the next hour. I'm your host, Tony Cutillo, right here, Heat Ratio Sports. Make sure you're liking, subscribing to the channel. We're going live all over right now. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. We're live on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it. And we're live right here straight from Pike's Pub. Listen, man, you got to get down Pike's Pub right here in beautiful Bucks County in Southampton because, look, number one, you got 50-cent wings, man. Who else is getting a better wing night than 50-cent wings? We got to get that right there, man. We're cooking live. And then you also have Monday, $3 cheeseburgers. You got $3 cheesesteaks on Wednesday. You got 50-cent happy hours off all drinks. You got live entertainment on Fridays and Saturdays and Thursdays. And here, every Tuesday night, you catch me here talking and spitballing some Philly sports, some national sports, some best bets, and some fantasy football. And this is going to be all birds. We got our great friend of the program, my man, Chris Franklin. I don't know if anybody knows who Chris Franklin is. He is the beat writer for NJ.com for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's calling live from the NovaCare Center. He'll be calling in. We'll be asking him, who the hell is Johnny Wilson? That's what I want to know. We got people talking about Johnny Wilson, who this new receiver is, who is Paris Campbell going to be the guy. We got a whole Eagles segment. I want to know, are you past last year's collapse? Why do we still have a linebacker problem? And is Vic Fangio equal to Jim Johnson? Do we finally have the old school mentality back that we need to get these guys' ass a little bit, man? We need to get these guys to dig a little bit. It was too much of a country club last year, and I think that was what was. Listen, those buttons need to be pushed, man. Let's face it. It says that right now Jalen Hurts looks like he has that next speed that he had 2 years ago. He had a lot of lingering injuries last year. There's a lot of stuff going on, man. I don't know what was going on, but what wasn't going on was the Eagles not winning out. But the crazy thing is, it shows you how much numbers, don't dictate wins. Right? Numbers don't dictate wins because Jalen Hurts is getting drafted as the number one quarterback in fantasy football. And he still had 30-plus touchdowns last year. Still, okay, 3,300 yards, 30-plus touchdowns. Now, the question is, does he run with the same frequency? Does he run with the same frequency? That's what I want to know. I want to know, are you past last year's collapse? And if you're not, why? Why are you not past last year's collapse? Again, Pike's Pub, shout out to Matt McCarthy for making this happen every Tuesday nights right here, Heat Ratio Sports, where we're going to do live betting. Usually the Phillies game is live at 6:40, so we're going to play some bets before the game, and then we're going to ride them out as we talk Eagles as the game is on. Right, we'll have a little bell ringing if we hit. Maybe we'll buy some rounds if we hit. X amount of money. We'll get some free money based on the free bets. Let's use that sports book to our advantage because that's what we want to do. And right now we got a golden tee. We got golden tee going on right now, man. We got the guys are hitting the greens. Guys are driving for 200-plus yards, man. It's like the Jack Nicklaus, Phil Mickelson, and Tiger Woods show over here for golden tee. Okay, you hear that? That's golden tee, man. That's golden tee. But we're gonna have a coach's corner soon, man. I'm excited, like the spur of the moment. So he knows we're saying this live right here. We got former coaches that are going to come on a microphone and talk a little X's and O's, right? Talk a little X's and O's. Did they miss blocks? Did they run the right play? Look at my man Javon checking in. My man Javon. Make sure you're following at Javon10. He says, I'm past last year's collapse. Between the new coordinators, free agency, and the draft, the Eagles did a good job addressing many needs. I agree. Now, here's what I'll say, Javon. My biggest issue is if, and this is if, and we brought this up again, if you're not if you're a Sirius subscriber, if you have a Sirius XM subscription, make sure you lock in on Sunday nights. You can hear me live 7 to 9 p.m. on Sirius XM channel 87. I talk Philly, I talk fantasy, I talk sports betting. And we talked about the odds for Nick Sirianni for being coach of the year are 40 to 1. So if Vegas thought that Sirianni was going to finish out the year, why would they have them at 40 to 1? So I don't understand why they brought him back. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand why they brought him back. And the Eagles always have a fail-safe, right? And you're already seeing the mixed messaging, which I think is a big deal. So you have the press conference, and they asked Nick Sirianni, who was wearing, by the way, my man Justin, my man Jay's art history shirts. I don't know if you do art history, make sure you check out arthistory101.com. That dude's got the best style in all of Philly, straight down there on Frankfurt Avenue by the old Chicky and Pete's. It's got a new place opening up by, I think, Princeton Avenue, and up past like Fink's Deli up that way. But what I will say is Vic Fangio has already shown he's not in the same messaging as Nick Sirianni. So Vic Fangio says he thinks players should play. Nick Sirianni saying, I don't think they're going to play. So they're already not on the same page. And that's a problem. And I'll tell you this, Javon, I'm concerned about that. I'm really, really concerned about that because I don't want to go through this stuff again. I don't. We're past that, right? We're past that. My man Adam checking in says, I think Saquon will be getting most of the running plays, and Hurts won't have to run as much as he usually does. Hey, Adam, I'm going to give you again, I always have my little bit of, I don't say on takes, I don't say, just seeing and hearing what I hear, there's a reason why they brought Kenny Pickett in. Not to throw footballs. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I don't think that Jalen Hurts is going to be running, down inside the red zone. I don't think he's going to be sneaking inside the red zone. I think, obviously, because you do not have Jason Kelce anymore, you have to figure out if Cam Jurgens can still do that type of play. And why would you get your $200 million quarterback hurt when you have another guy, okay, who's very capable, who ran the hell out of the ball in college, who showed he could run at Pittsburgh, to do the same thing. So I think you see Kenny Pickett break into some of those touchdown numbers. But Saquon Barkley, honestly, who was shocked that we signed Saquon Barkley, right? Who was shocked? I am shocked, but I am very happy that we signed Saquon Barkley. Stop with the 27 years old. Stop with the overage quarterback. Stop with the injury concerns. He has never, ever, ever played behind an offensive line and on a team with this quarterback that he has here in Philadelphia. So that's one thing that you have to remember. And if you look at Howie Roseman specifically came out, and what's the first thing he said? We didn't pay a guy $30 million to play half the time, right? This guy is going to play. He's going to play a lot, 100%. So get those. We're going to check out those Saquon Barkley numbers. We're going to check those numbers out and see what kind of future bets that we can lay on Saquon Barkley, because I'm going to tell you what, there's some really, really good. Now, Adam says, I actually picked Saquon second overall in my fantasy football draft. Interesting. I can't wait. The third hour, we're going to talk fantasy football, Adam. And we're going to see where you drafted these guys, because I'm curious, because Saquon's my second running back off the board after Christian McCaffrey. I think he has that kind of year, 100%. Fuji says, I have to get Chris on the 50 with Fuji and Fleet. Check out the Fuji and Fleet, another great podcast out there talking all birds. Yeah, you got to talk to Chris Franklin is the man. Chris Franklin is the man. You're going to hear him. Everything he tells you is spot on, man. There's no fabrication in what he talks about. He doesn't hide. Right, he doesn't hide away from the criticism. He doesn't hide away from giving you the real story. So, this is an ESP. Okay, this is Chris Franklin. So we got Chris Franklin coming on in 10 minutes. Now, Food says, is Mekhi Becton the starting right guard? I'll tell you what, man. Stoughton University, again. You take a guy who's a former first-round pick, an absolute monster, an absolute beast, and you take him away from his former position and put him in the middle where you need him, and they're already giving rave reviews. Of Mekhi Becton. Now we're going to ask Chris Franklin about that because I heard that Steen is like a human turnstile out there at the NovaCare. Like he's getting beat by swim moves. He's getting beat by little easy hand movements. That's not good. We don't need to get our quarterback hurt. So if Mekhi Becton is the guy, let him be the guy. Because I do think that Stoutland can turn him back in to what he used to be. Again, we're live right here from Pike's Pub, right here in Southampton, PA. Beautiful Bucks County, right on 430 plus 2nd Street Pike, right next to Japanese restaurant Mount Fiji, right next to Southampton Beverage. We're kind of squeezed right in between. We're squeezed right in between. We'll be here every Tuesday night talking birds, talking Phils, right? Talking Sixers once the Sixers start, talking fantasy football, talking sports betting. We got it all. And we got 50-cent wings tonight. We got 50 cents wings tonight, man. We got 50-cent wings tonight. You got to get here at Pike's Pub, man. You got to see these wings. They got these Korean barbecue wings, man, that are top notch. Okay, and here's the key. I haven't told anybody yet, but here's my key about wings. You got to get them well done. You got to get them well done because you can't have them fatty. Right, so you get them well done. They cook them well done, a little extra crispy. Got that little crisp on them, and that's what makes you really enjoy your meal. They got a lot of high fives going on. Somebody must have just hit a bet. Not sure who, but we got a guy wear a lucky T-shirt right here, so we're gonna get lucky tonight. Have a good night, my man. We're gonna get lucky tonight on these bets. Again, if you missed it, I will throw them up before Chris comes on. If you missed it, make sure you get locked in. We got the Phillies money line at -108. Okay, we got Trey Turner, home run at +450. We got his over HRR, which is hits plus runs plus RBIs, at -130. And we got Bryce Harper, same number at -120. So get them locked in. If you don't have a membership, WinDailySports.com. You get a betting membership over there, courtesy of me. Use the code word HEAT, HEAT. You get 50% off. You get $7.50 a week for your entire premium membership. I guarantee you'll make that money back in one bet. As I'm telling you right now, that's how good those projections are. Now, talking about the Eagles and talking about bets, we got a Friday night preseason game. And a lot of people are talking about they're so worried about who's going to play, who's not going to play. I don't know about you people. I don't know about people at Pike's Pub. I don't know about people online, but I could give two you-know-what when it comes to the preseason. I really don't care about the preseason. I do think the guys got to get 1 or 2 snaps. It could be very vanilla. I'm okay with it. Listen, there's an extra game in the NFL this year. You're already doing joint practices. You're doing scrimmage games against opposing teams. I'm not really worried. I think people get so crazy over the preseason. Like, tone it down, man. Like, who cares? Number one, it's a money grab for the team, right? They gouge you, whether you're a season ticket holder or whether you're trying to buy them on StubHub or SeatGeek, or you're trying to, even if you get them, through the Philadelphia Eagles, if they're even available for staying in room only tickets or not. But it just, when you look at it that way, it really doesn't matter. It is good, I guess, for if you have a family and you can't afford to go to a full game, and say you have 2 or 3 kids and you want to bring them down. I do like the live practices, the open practice. You notice they only went to 1 this year. I wish they would go back to 2. I thought that 50,000, by the way, 50,000. I mean, who is to say Philadelphia is not the best fan base in America when you have 50,000 strong for a free friggin' practice, man? For a practice. It's crazy. It really is. And that's what has to be said more than anything, because you had Saquon come out, and I had a soundbite. I'm going to try to play it. I don't know if it's loud enough, but Saquon talking right now about coming here to Philadelphia, about what it's like to actually have an audience behind him.
That game was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I already knew how much love this city has for not only this team but all the teams around you. But for a practice to have 50,000 fans is truly insane. So thank you to all those fans that came out and showed love and support. And that's big. It helps us as a team, man. And it makes us want to go out there. It's like it kind of feel like a college feel again. Like And when I was in college, like, you don't want no one to come to Beaver Stadium and get a win there. You get that feel here. It's like, you know how much every week is, but how much more.
How you doing, man? Tony, nice to meet you.
Playing in that, playing Wayne. So.
And there he is right there, Saquon, talking about what he expects, right? What he expects. Should he get the bulk of the carries, right? Should he get the bulk of the carries? And honestly, I think he should. And I think he will. If he does not get the bulk of the carries, I would be absolutely shocked. Now, Food says smash mouth football, old school NFC East. I love it, man. I love it. Old school, smash mouth, in your face football. See, that's what we need to bring back, man. That's what we need to bring back. And again, I'm just a passing offense. When you bring a guy in, like I say, Saquon Barkley, you already know you're changing a little bit, right? You already know you are changing a little bit because you're now, what you're going to do is you're going to get a runner, probably, should we say the best running back we've had since Shady McCoy? I mean, when you think about it, I mean, Saquon Barkley, man, I mean, this is a guy that we always obviously see on the other side. But again, now he's us, man. Now he's part of us, which you got to love it, man. You absolutely got to love it. Now, Adam says, get rid of the preseason and just go by joint practice to determine who makes the team and to start the season right after training camp. Again, I don't really care about the preseason, to be honest with you. Like I said, I agree, Adam. I would just go joint practices, get those scrimmage games going. They have the scrimmage games going. They do battle up against, obviously, they battle, up against another team. They used to always do it against Baltimore. They always did it against New England. I think they did it against Detroit one year. They always bring another team in order to battle. And that's an NFL-ready team. Right. So I'm okay. But just think about it. When they go out and they play in the preseason, they ain't doing much anyway. It's all vanilla based football. It's all easy eye formation, little swing passes. Look, they're not giving anything that tip their brim to the other team. They're not doing anything that's crazy enough for them to say, you know what? Oh, we're really going to have to scout this team. No, they're looking at players. They're looking at people, and they're looking at, how do they react under game day action? That's one of the things that they're really doing. They're just looking at the game day action, but you can get that same kind of action, in my opinion. You can get the same thing in the scrimmages and the joint practices. Javon says, I think the Eagles are doing a joint training camp with the Pats. Yep, with the Pats. That's what I was saying, Javon. They're always with the Patriots. They're always doing joint practices with the Patriots. And I think that's a good thing, right? You're going against, because it's different against going up to, your other teammate, right, on the opposing side of the football. But when you're going up against one of your colleagues and one of your peers, that's completely different, right? That's completely different. When you're going up against them, we got our man Chris Franklin on. My man Chris is just joined the program. We're going to introduce him right now before he gets live on the line. If you do not know Chris Franklin, you need to know Chris Franklin. You can follow him on X at C Franklin News. He is the beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles for NJ.com, South Jersey Times, Lehigh Valley Live, and he's down at the NovaCare Center every single day, and he's going to give us some insight into what's going on with these Philadelphia Eagles. My man Chris, thanks for joining, my man. Can you hear me?
Hey, Tony, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. It's football season. Everything's good, and yeah, you got to enjoy it, man. What was that from that college football game? What a time to be alive.
Yeah, exactly. What a time to be alive. My man, first of all, everybody's hearing right now. We're live right here at Bucks County in Pike's Pub. We got a full bar. We have 50-cent wings, Chris. One of these times you got to come join me, and I'm going to make good on that promise. I told you, drinks on me, food on me, man, for everything that you always, always giving me your time, man. Much appreciated.
Hey, I appreciate it. You had me at wings. Just kidding. And I'm sure the wings
Yo,
there are
man.
good, man. So
Yo, they got these
good stuff.
Korean barbecue wings too, man. Like I don't know if you're a barbecue guy, but man, Korea. I mean, it's something different, man. It
I'm,
is
I'm,
definitely something different.
I'm a red-blooded person. Yeah, of course I love that, man. What's going on?
Love it, man. Love it, man. But listen, man, I appreciate you hopping on. Obviously, tons to talk about. I won't keep you. I know you're a busy guy. You've been down to NovaCare listen, since it started. A lot of things have come out, obviously. One of the things I brought up, and I'm curious to hear, your take, because you're always right on the pulse with this, but you hear Sirianni came out, right? And first thing he says is, about Friday night. Like, I'm not a big preseason guy, but he talks about, I don't know if anybody's going to play. We haven't made a decision yet. And then you hear Fangio come out, and he's like, well, guys need to play. They need to do this. Like, already not on the same page. Like, is that something? Are we making a big deal about that? Or, can we just overlook that again?
I think it's still I think they're still deciding that, because now we got that wonderful storm that's supposed to be passing through, so that might be playing a role inside that. But it's almost like a new school, old school approach, because you got the chiseled vet coach Fangio. No, we need to be playing. We need to be running against the wall. I wouldn't be surprised if people wanted to bring back 3-a-days, but the CBA blocks that. But now you also have Nick Sirianni, who is more into sports science, wants to make sure these guys rest. And right now, I mean, as much as you hate to admit it, like, you want to see them go tougher. When you look at the last 2 seasons that Sirianni has had, look at the starts that they had, it kind of favors, being a little bit more cautious the way he has. It's a matter of I think that's why we're seeing a little bit more conditioning now, because I think that contributed to the way that this team finished his last season. So I think I think a lot's being made of it. When all said and done, maybe you see the starters for a series. Maybe we haven't been told yet. We still wait for that. We're trying to glean it out of every single player. Like, we haven't told us. So it might be one of those things where they started out pretty. Maybe you see them for a series, and then they use the joint practices to be their quote unquote second preseason game appearance.
Yeah, listen, I think everybody's on edge, right? Everybody's, because of the way that everything happened last year. Now you have all these, you got new players, you got new coaches, you got new schemes, you got new systems in place, and they're just waiting, right? I'm not worried about the preseason. What I want to know is, like, Jalen Hurts, man, Saquon Barkley, they're the guys. Like, Saquon is that guy that you've always wanted. Like, Saquon's that beast, that bell cow. Now, I don't expect him to get 340 touches, but do you see a world where he does not get like 80% of the touches from the running back position?
I don't, unless it is the world that, the concern that we've seen where he gets injured or anything like that. And I think that they'll try to do a lot of things to keep him off, but he is the guy back there. When you look at what he brings to this offense, it's just his presence on the field just adjusts the way defenses have to defend this team, because beforehand we saw what teams were doing last year, playing a lot of 2 high safety, making sure that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith didn't beat him deep, so allowed to the running back. Now you can't do that. You got to cheat a safety up now, because you got to worry about Saquon Barkley. And just imagine the one-on-one opportunities you're going to have on the outside. Heck, even if you move Smith to the slot, you got to have him against a nickel corner, potentially going deep, or a deep post, or a corner out. I think they like that matchup. And then you look at Saquon; he just brings at him as a runner, his ability. Like, he's a big guy. You're like, heck, how the heck does this guy has quads the size he does there? Like, I shouldn't have cheat leg day back when I was like lifting stuff like that. But you look at it now, he's like, oh, it's possible, okay. But he runs, like, we've seen it in practice. It's already good enough that you have Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata on that left side. When they run that outside zone toward his direction, it's going to be very tough to stop. So he brings a lot to the table. And I think the Eagles offense is going to regain their form to be in the top 3 this season.
I like to hear that, man. I like to hear that. Again, we're talking live and alive right now with NJ.com's premier Eagles beat reporter, the best Eagles beat reporter, in my opinion, Chris Franklin at C Franklin News on X. Follow him. I'm telling you, he's got a report observation every single day. You want to get involved in. And you just said the Magic Key top 3 offenses. I'm so excited. But speaking of that offensive line, I know there's some reports out there that within the interior is not really looking great right now. They talked about Steen kind of be like a human turnstile. I don't know how true that is. And then we had a couple of people in here in the pub and online ask about Mekhi Becton, starting right guard. What's the take on the offensive line besides the mainstays on the bookends?
Yeah, I think especially when you have a new center in Cam Jurgens, you got Steen trying to acclimate himself in the middle. when you see stunts and the way that Vic Fangio's assigned those stunts, they've had some trouble in terms of that, and they're trying to get it right. You see Landon Dickerson is playing a role in making sure these and calling out what they're seeing and helping Cam Jurgens along in terms of pass protection. In terms of Steen, I think the worst thing that happened to him was him getting that ankle injury because it forced him to miss valuable reps. And you're starting to see that a little bit in terms of his consistency, getting his hands up to make sure that he blocks and doing that right. Mekhi Becton, he's still learning as well too. But I'll tell you this: when you look at the power he brings, and I just remember this one rep he had. Now, granted, Dylan McMahon, the 6th-round draft pick, is a center. He's a center, not a defensive tackle. But he was playing one during his rep. And Mekhi Becton was working with Lane Johnson, and then Lane Johnson passed the block off to Becton. He pushed McMahon down with one arm and put him to the ground. That's how much power. You see that nastiness that Becton has. And I'll tell you this, it's going to be Tyler Steen's job to lose. They're going to give him every single opportunity to win it. But if he gets injured or if we start to see, like, say, a couple weeks into the season, he's not picking it up, I wouldn't be surprised if they switched over to Becton. But don't be surprised if you see Steen in the lineup week 1.
Wow, I'll tell you, man. I haven't seen him like you did, but as far as I see, I mean, Mekhi Becton just looks like a physical specimen, man. Like, he's a huge body, and I just keep thinking, man, if Stoutland can do good by him and he buys him, man, we could definitely have a steal. Now, Food's checking in. He says, hey, Chris, as far as offense and defense, which players stand out so far to you? Now, obviously, besides the normal guys, anybody on either side, Chris, really standing out that we're not expecting?
Yeah, I'll start one with both. Thanks, Mike, for a question. I think when you look offensively, the biggest surprise to me has been Will Shipley, the rookie running back they drafted in the 4th round. And I'll be honest, when they first took him, I'm like, why are you burning a 4th round pick because you had other needs that you could have addressed? And when you look at what he's done on there, I know I'm hearing Nick says the Danny Woodhead connect, the comparison, stuff like that. He has been very good in the terms of the pass, especially after the catch. We know his ability to return his kick return ability, but when you get the ball out to the flat and he's able to run after the catch, he can be very dangerous. I'm really envisioning. I really want to see what Kellen Moore does if they put the 2 running backs on there, or heck, it's rare, but maybe you have 3 running backs and you try to out formation a team, and he can make an impact in that one. Defensively, I'll say this: I know he's a starter, but he surprised me in the way he's got power. Jordan Davis did very well. I like the way he showed, especially during the red zone period yesterday, that he really pushed. He wreaked havoc and forced that one. And then also, I look at it as well too. It's tough, but Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I'm putting this out there so everyone say he's not going to be the starter. But I thought it was very interesting that when they released a depth chart today, they looped him along with Nakobe Dean, Devin White, and Zach Bond, and they didn't truly name 2 starting off the ball linebackers yet. I think he's still a ways away. I have concerns about his coverage, but when you look at his ability to stop the run, you look at his instincts to find where the ball's going to be, and Fangio doesn't blitz that much, but when he does bring pressure, he's looked good in terms of getting to the quarterback too. So I think that's a guy to watch as the season progresses. I think next year is more the year where he really challenges to be a starter, but he's been good so far as well.
Wow, I like to hear that, man. I do. Obviously with the lineage and the storyline, and when you bring in a guy like that, and it's not just because he was a Philadelphia Eagle, but when you have the lineage of, I talked about this, and Chris, I do the work for the Blue Coats. So you have Ryan Ayers as an assistant coach with his dad, Randy Ayers, right? So you already know he has that lineage. He is a guy that gets it, right? So Trot gets it. He's pushed to that brink. So I love what you're saying there, because I'm very excited about seeing him on the field. Now, again, we're talking to Chris Franklin live on the line from NJ.com, Eagles beat reporter. Give him a follow at C Franklin News on all things Eagles, live for the NovaCare on X. Looking at the offense, Chris, and just a couple more, I'll get you out of here. I know you're a busy guy, but looking at everything from A.J. Brown to Devontae Smith to Dallas Goedert, a lot of people say, there's not enough balls go around, but the way I look at Kellen Moore's offense is, even with Saquon Barkley, this team is just a complete coverage nightmare. Like you said, top 3. Do you see any where a number 3 receiver actually matters. I know people keep talking about it, but to me, I mean, it's amazing like the number 4 because I think Dallas Goedert is technically the number 3 already.
Well, I think especially after last season where your leading third receiver, quote unquote, was Quez Watkins, and he finished with 15 receptions. I think you kind of do need that. And as much as I thought more and more like, okay, it's going to be Paris Campbell or John Ross, I think they're going to use the committee approach. When you look at Paris Campbell, he's been dealing with a groin injury, but when he's on the field, he's been playing a lot of the outside, and they move Devontae Smith on the inside. I look at John Ross. He's the guy that you hope Quez Watkins would have been. Your speed, your burner, occupied as safeties. He would have gotten that. But surprisingly, Britton Covey, he's been pretty good, especially between the hash marks, because he's been operating. He finds a soft spot of his zone, and we know what he does as a returner, so that kind of helps. And then Johnny Wilson, this guy he's huge. He looks like he should be a tight end. I'm 6'3". I say nothing. I'm looking up like, hey, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. It's good luck on trying to cover this guy, but he's more of he's more of a red zone guy. The questions that he had in college was his ability to consistently catch the ball because he did have some issues dropping the ball. But so far in camp, he's done a very good job, especially using him in the red zone. I mean, you get a guy 6'6" against a cornerback who may be like 5'10", 5'11", throw it up in the corner. Okay, on a 50-50 ball, yeah, I'll take my chances. This offense typically doesn't do that, but if you had that option, it's nice to know it's there, especially if you have Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown. So I don't know how much is going to be following one guy, but it's very important to have it just in terms of formation and even just for depth as well, too. So this team's in a good place.
You just made a lot of people happy here, buddy. Let me just tell you, it's so funny because before I got you on the line, we got 3 great guys over here playing the great Golden Tee, and the first thing the one guy tells me is Johnny Wilson. And I said, who the hell is Johnny Wilson, right? So I'm like, who is John? There's one guy I don't know, and we start talking third receivers. What do you bring up? Look at Johnny Wilson. So they're very happy right now, man. This shows that he knows the stuff. If Chris Franklin is saying his name, my man knows, man. My man knows. But Chris, listen. I listen, you're a busy guy. I'm gonna let you get out of here, but before you go, man, let everybody know. I told them where to follow you at C Franklin News. Read, fellas. Have a great night, man. See you next week. Have a great one, man. Be safe. Yeah, baby, we got it. And do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you got going on this week besides, new articles coming out so we can get you some coverage here, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks again for having me on. It's pretty much almost a universal handle, whether it be X/Twitter, even Threads now, Blue Sky, what have you, at C Franklin News. You have everything. Try to update with pictures and videos, but because mainly just try to make sure I get everybody. If you can't be at practice, at least try to get a sense of what's going on. So at least when the periods we're allowed to actually record. So it's right there. At C Franklin News, we got that. We're just basically preparing tomorrow. If there's a practice, hopefully it's going to be outdoor practice. It'll be great. Everybody is going to see a lot of the second and third team guys because they're going to get ramped up for this upcoming game Friday night against Baltimore Ravens, and I'll be down there in Baltimore covering that game.
Love it, man. Love it, man. We're going to talk and get you back on Sirius with me. I got the Sunday show, as you know, get you back on there, talking some birds as well, man. So I just want to say thank you for everybody here at Pike's Pub, for myself, for Heat Radio, man. You have a great night, Chris, and thanks so much for hopping on, man.
Thank you very much. Everybody enjoy those wings. Enjoy your time there at the bar and enjoy that. And thank you very much, Tony. I appreciate it.
You got it, Chris. There he is, man. In my opinion, the best Eagles beat reporter out there right now, my man Chris Franklin from NJ.com at C Franklin News. I'll tell you what, man, he said some interesting things I want to get into because he said a name that I've been telling you guys that have been listening to me, and we've been talking about it. I think Britton Covey is a secret weapon that we're not even talking about. And I know, listen, I know when we talk about Britton Covey and everybody wants to bring those, similarities to like a Wes Welker or things of that nature. But look, man, this guy finds holes. He finds areas. He's quick. He's got great hands. He runs great routes. And that's what you want from your third receiver. And again, you heard him. He said last year, Quez Watkins had 15 catches as a third receiver. Right? So you need a guy that's not going to worry about getting the ball, right? If you're only getting the ball 15 to 20 times, you better not be worrying about a stat book, right? So as long as you don't have to worry about that. You're going to be in the good graces, and you're going to be good, and you're going to be productive. So I love me some Britton Covey. You mentioned Johnny Wilson, who he said is a matchup nightmare, man. So I know my coach, we had some coach's corner. Coach left, but he was talking about Johnny Wilson. He was talking about that guy. He said, look out for Johnny Wilson. So Chris mentioned him as well. And he talked about Will Shipley. Will Shipley looking really, really good at the running back position. The guy they drafted, and the Eagles always draft that running back that is a change of pace guy. They always draft that running back that they really put a lot of confidence in. You still have Kenny Gainwell there, obviously, who in my opinion is going to shift back. The only way Shipley doesn't get the number 2 spot is if he fumbles the ball or he can't pick up coverage. That's the biggest thing, right? Because you don't want to hurt the quarterback, and you don't want to put the ball on the floor. They're the biggest thing. Don't turn the ball over. Don't get the quarterback hurt. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. Javon checking in says, I forgot about this name, Javon. When he mentioned it, I was like, oh, snap. I forgot about that. He says, a healthy John Ross is scary to think about to help stretch the field in the Kellen Moore offense. It's funny. Everybody's like, John Ross, he's done. Don't worry about it. But here's the thing about John Ross. John Ross is a guy that maybe is an afterthought, but a guy who can come in and make you that one big play game, right? That one down the field kind of play. What's going on, man? One down the field kind of play. He's one of those guys you can think about for the Eagles that can come in and make it a one possession game, right? He can make it a go-ahead score where everybody's focused on Devontae Smith. Everybody's focused on A.J. Brown. Everybody's focused on Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. It's funny, Javon, I think, I wouldn't say me, but maybe you. You're definitely younger and better shape than I am, but maybe you could stretch the field with all those weapons, right? So, I mean, that's what's really, really interesting. Javon also says, love the committee approach for wide receiver 3. All different wideouts who could do different things. I was surprised Wilson fell to day 3. Javon's a college guy. So when Javon talks about a guy surprised he fell to day 3, he fell right there. You already know that he should have been a day 2 pick. Right. And if he's a day 2 pick that you got on day 3, that means he has talent. That means he can produce. So very, very interesting when it comes to Johnny Wilson. Again, we're live right here from Pike's Pub here in Southampton PA Sports Talk. Some live bets, special tonight, 50-cent wings, man. 50-cent wings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I talked about on Mondays. They have it's like the home of the $3 deal, man. I'm telling you, $3 deals. You can't beat it. $3 cheeseburgers on Monday, $3 cheesesteaks on Thursdays. Or again on Wednesdays. I'm sorry. Wings are Tuesdays and Thursdays is 50-cent wings, man. I mean, you can't beat it. But where you get a cheesesteak for $3, man? If you see the intro, you see the picture of the wings on the intro, man. They look very, very appetizing. I had the Korean barbecue wings are very, very good. So make sure you're getting down here at Pike's Pub, Southampton, PA, 400 plus, like 435 2nd Street Pike, sandwich in between Southampton Beverage and Mount Fiji, across from the shopping center where the new Dunkin' Donuts is going to be, right on 2nd Street Pike. You can't miss it. Trust me. Come on in, say hi. I got a microphone. You want to talk on a microphone, you want to grab a drink, you want to grab some food and talk some birds. That's what we're doing right now. We're going to look at some bets as well, some future bets. We've already talked about, locked in the bets that will rehash in hour 3 for the Philadelphia Phillies, because I think there's a lot of good bets that we can look at for the Dodgers game tonight. And I want everybody to win together. I want everybody to have some fun, because when I come back next week, I want to find out who won, who didn't win, who'd I make mad, who'd I piss off, who'd I make happy. Either way, it's going to be fun, because we're going to be here live every Tuesday night from 6 to 9, talking everything in the world of sports. Now, I'll tell you what, Fuge, you just talked about, now you said, are there any rumors of Josh Sweat being traded? I don't see that. You know why? I don't understand how you trade your only pass rusher you actually have, right? So that, I'm not a huge Josh Sweat guy. I think he has a lot of ability, but I just don't understand how that you could trade the only guy that you have. Now, I do like Nolan Smith a lot. When I hear Nolan Smith went in the all season. He bulked up. He got faster. He worked on technique. He worked on hand-eye coordination. He worked on hand placement. He worked on foot movement. A lot of things he worked on, and he has that attitude. He has that moxie. He has that beast mode, Marshawn Lynch mentality on the defensive side of the ball. So I really think that when you talk about Nolan Smith, I think what he's going to do, I think he's going to turn some heads. I really do. When you don't really hear about him in camp, in a bad way, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's not normally a good thing. It just means that he's doing some things. He's kind of like, again, the secret weapon. Now, Adam checking in says, you think we will regret letting Hassan Reddick walk? Hell no. Did you see all the fiasco that's going on out there, the New York Jets, by him, how much money he wants to get paid, what he thinks he deserves? Listen, here's the thing. I like Hassan Reddick. Obviously, Temple guy, local kid. I get it. One of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. But you ever think about it, why a guy that young is already going to his fourth team? Like, you have to think about that, right? There has to be something going on there. You don't jump team to team as a young guy in your 20s and be that dominant. Now, I know he's approaching that 30-year-old, or he might be 30 right now. I forget. I have to look at that up. I'm not sure. It might be 30. He's either 29 turn 30 or 30 turn 31. But, looking at that, there's got to be a reason why he keeps floating to other teams. If you're that good, you do not float, I should say, to other teams. Food says Covey. Yes, I'm telling you, man. Covey's the best kept secret. A la Cole Beasley under Kellen Moore. You said it. I was waiting for somebody to mention it. When Kellen Moore, listen, he used the hell out of Cole Beasley in Big D in Dallas. He made Cole Beasley a household name. Cole Beasley was never the same after he left Dallas. Britt Covey's the same kind of player. He's the same kind of player. Has nothing to do with his race either. He's just the same kind of player. He's built that way, man. He could be a stud, man. Nobody's going to be looking at this guy. And just think about those seam routes he's going to be able to run. Just think about how much he's going to be open in the middle of the field, man. I think it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes about Britton Covey and what he brings to this team. And think about it. We're talking about a third/4th wide receiver on this team. And that's how good they're going to be. That's the crazy part. Javon says, speaking about the defense, watch out for, Javon, that's my guy, man. Me and you, Milton Williams, man. I tell everybody, Milton Williams. Now, you heard Chris Franklin talk about, which is good, talked about the big man in the middle, right? Talked about the big man in the middle and Jordan Davis. That's a huge deal. We need him, obviously, but Milton Williams made a big step up last year, and he's going to take another step this year, man. They're going to have a solid rotation, I feel, in the middle. I love Milton Williams. I really did. He says Fangio likes him, and I think he could take the leap like Christian Wilkins did last year in Miami. See, that's the thing. You have to look at what Miami did under Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio made a lot of players in Miami because he's that good, man. It's his scheme. It's what he demands out of his players. It's the respect factor. Okay. He has that notoriety. He has that respect and he has the success. He has the track record. It's different if you come here and you're a stiff and you're not a very good coach. Like Sean Desai, I don't think he was a stiff, but at the same time, who knew if he was a good coach, right? I still think he got done dirty a little bit. I don't think it was all his fault. But Fangio comes in here and the track record speaks for itself. So you got to be an idiot if you're not going to listen to this guy. And you see Chauncey Gardner-Johnson get hurt. MRI comes back clean, but still they're going to hold him out with the shoulder. I don't like that. It's a lingering injury. Don't be surprised if Justin Williams, another Vic Fangio disciple, when he was out there in Denver, comes in as backup, but he still wants to be a starter here. So keep an eye on that. I think that's something to really, really keep an eye on. As always, great show. My mom checking in. Thanks, Mom. As always, love when you're watching the show. I know you're getting ready for that Phillies game. We talk Phillies in that first hour. Now you're going to be texting me at about 10:10 saying, let's go Phillies. I already get it. And then you're going to go, what the hell if they give up a run? So I'm looking forward to that as well because I'll be out watching as always because we got some bets on the line right now that I'm going to rehash before we go to another 5 to 10 minute intermission before we finish up on this third hour, another full hour. And we're going to get into a little more Birds talk, and then we're going to get into some fantasy football talk. Because people have been hitting me up for the fantasy football takes and talking about fantasy football rankings. I had a local, a local league for Hello Neighbor in Burgundy Hills that we're doing 10 teams, which I love 10. I hate 12. I love 10. And then maybe depending on, if people like this kind of thing, they want to hear my ass talk a little bit, maybe we'll do a league here at Pike's Pub, and we'll have a nice party. We get a draft board. I got a bunch of whiteboards in here. We'll put it up. We'll have a live draft. We'll do a 10, 12 teamer. We'll have some fun. So, and I'll invite some people in as well. So I think that'll be really, really fun. But fantasy football is the way to go, man. It really is. It's still fun. You don't have to be crazy about it. You can have a lot of fun, a lot of good talking. I got my kids into it, which was great. Gave me some good family time. My two boys love it. We go back and forth. They're 17 and 19. My son Chris was here helping me run this 100-foot cable tonight, which was a chore in itself, but it worked. So that's a plus. So that was a good thing. But so listen, we're gonna go take we're gonna come back again around 8:05, 8:10, and we're gonna talk some Phillies bets again, and we're gonna talk some fantasy football. I want to know who your first pick. I want to know, like, taking it from a Philly perspective. Where are you looking at when you want to talk about Saquon Barkley? Where are you taking Saquon Barkley? And if you are in fantasy football, do you steer away from teams that you don't like because maybe they're the Dallas Cowboys? Do you steer away from Eagles because you don't want to watch the Eagles and have to root for guys or against guys? It's a really slippery slope in football. So I'm very, very curious to know what everybody thinks on that. As always, right now, make sure you're liking and subscribing at Heat Ratio Sports on all social formats. Make sure you're on Facebook and Instagram. You're going to that Pike's Pub page. Make sure you're liking it. Make sure you're following so you get all the sports, all the specials. Obviously, Sports Talk is here on Tuesdays, but all the specials and all the live entertainment that they offer right here in, like I said, in Southampton. It's like Cheers here, where everybody knows your name, man. It's a really, really cool establishment. Loving every minute of it. Having some fun tonight. Mike Food says, real quick, he says, Riddick will report soon being fined so much every day. I know. Listen, these guys are proving a point. I think they get fined like $100,000 a day. Eventually, they're just going to say, you know what, we'll show up. But again, may take plays off. His head might not be into it. So that's what I worry about with a guy like Riddick. He has that, unfortunately, he has that about him. Those rumors have always swirled about him going in for himself, kind of going in business for himself on the field. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went in business for himself when it comes to reporting and taking plays off as well. So I don't want any part of that whatsoever. So we're going to go to break. We're going to break for 5-10 minutes. We'll be back by 8:10. I'm going to get another drink in my, on my lips here to make my mouth not so parched and dry, so we could talk some more Eagles talk, some more Phillies bets, and again, some more fantasy football talk right here on Heat Ratio Sports Live. Tony Cutillo from Pike's Pub. number 3, man. This night is just flying by. Last hour right here for Heat Ratio Sports Talk. I am Tony Cutillo right here live from Pike's Pub right here in beautiful Bucks County in Southampton. The home of the $3 specials, man. Like I keep saying, the $3 specials here are fantastic. $3 Mondays, $3 Wednesdays, $3 Fridays, 50-cent wings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 50-cent wings tonight. So make sure you get up down. I'll be here for another hour. The place is open for the rest of the night after I leave, serving those wings, serving those beverages. Everybody's having a good time. We got about 15 TVs up here. We got pool going on. We had a gold tee game going on. We had our great friend Chris Franklin from NJ.com earlier talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, talking about what he sees at the Nova Care Center. We talked about the Philadelphia Phillies. We got a game tonight at 10-10, right? Can they win? Again, lose again 5-3 last night. Not something we want to see. Can they come back and win tonight? We got some bets for that game as well. And again, talking some fantasy football in the last, because fantasy football is something that's fun for everybody, right? It's fun for everybody. It could be like the old school style of one of those block pools that you get when for the Super Bowl, when you just put $10 on, and next thing you know, you're just, what's the end of the score in a quarter? What's grandma got? What's Aunt Betty got? What's my cousin have? Right. So it's always fun when we talk about, block pools, and the same thing happens in fantasy football. And again, some people play very competitively. Some people play just for fun. Some people don't play at all. Right. It all personal preference. But what we could do is, I know we have a local league here in Southampton I'm a part of. I actually help run for the Hello Neighbor group in Burgundy Hills, where we've been doing it probably for like 3-4 years. So that's fun. 10 guys, 10 girls. We have a lot of fun with it. 2 separate leagues kind of run head to head simultaneously. We have 2 champions, obviously, which is fun. And then maybe we'll get one going here too. We'll have a little Pike's Pub League. We'll have a live draft. We'll have some fun, and we'll get to talk about it week to week, because I'll be here on Tuesday nights, 6 to 9. Getting you usually ready for the Phillies game. It'll probably start at about 6:40. But tonight, obviously, West Coast, they don't go until 10:10. So I listen. It's been kicking my ass because I do a lot of pre and post games. Luckily, Tyler Mraz of Heat Ratio Sports has been really stepping his game up and doing those post game and pre games. My old ass can't stay up. It's 12 o'clock. I'm dozing off. I'm trying. No way I could do a 1 a.m. pregame. Or I should say post game. I just can't do it. So what we're trying to do tonight, we got some best bets that we looked at. These are, again, some of the guys had left, but they were really high on certain guys. I know I've been high on certain guys. Tyler actually checked in saying that Trey Turner's batting .455 against Clayton Kershaw. So look for a big game from him tonight. Home runs, could they happen? So Trey Turner, we took it over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs at -130. I know. Yep, you got it. Yep, absolutely, you got it too. And then we got Bryce Harper over 1.5. HRR -120. That HRR is 8 plus runs plus RBIs. You can only get that on DraftKings. And again, when you bet that kind of thing, you just look at what you're watching during the game. Is Bryce Harper on track? Is Trey Turner going to break out of a slump? You look at Clayton Kershaw. Came back, looked good. His first start looked horrific for his second start. He's going to be on a short leash tonight. I think this could be a bullpen game. And the Phillies are on a money line at -108. That's very close to plus money. Okay, if you could get plus money, that's what you always want, man. That's what you always want. Like Alex Eckanen says, the lightning is real good now since it's dark. So he must be Storm Watson, Adam. Adam, hopefully you're bunkered down out there. I think you're over in the Allentown area. So hopefully in the Allentown area, you're bunkered down and you're staying safe, buddy. That's all I know, because if that lightning is cracking like that, man, get those batteries ready. Get the, we don't want no power outages, right? We don't want no trees falling on nobody's houses. But listen, talking about that Phillies getting tonight real fast, it's a whole thing. Before we get into fantasy football, a little bit about Christopher Sanchez. A guy has to find his way again. And when you're a young pitcher and you come in and out of the game, what happens is you start off strong, you get figured out a little bit, you reinvent yourself. Kalen Cotham, really good pitching coach, obviously. And the best part that I think is underrated is the culture within that nucleus of the pitching staff. When you have guys like Aaron Nola and Chris Wheeler, not Wheels, the old announcer, Zach Wheeler, right? Looking at Zach Wheeler, I mean, he is every bit of a leader like Roy Halladay, rest in peace, Roy was, for us taking those younger pitchers, under his arm and giving them the right way. And that's what they're doing for Sanchez and Ranger Suarez, who looks like he will be back, not his next start, but the following one. So we have to keep an eye on that as well. So I think Sanchez bounces back tonight. I really do, because another thing you get to look at is this team. For the Dodgers, they're getting ready to go on a big West Coast or a big away road trip themselves. So because of that, they're probably going to be likely to sit some guys. They're not going to have the full lineup out there. So that's exactly what happens. And that's something that the Phillies can 100% get involved in. My man Adam says, I got the bet for Turner in for a home run a few minutes ago. Adam, where'd you get it from? Let me know. Did you get it in DraftKings? Was it plus 450, or did you get it somewhere else with a better number? Because, like, as always, you go to windailysports.com. You can sign up for that membership. Use that code HEAT, get 50% off. And then what you'll do is you'll be able to see the entire thing on our prop better model. And you can go in there and see what each book has and just click of a mouse and you get the best number. That's the way you do it, because you always want to scout for your good numbers and your good lines. 100%, that is the way to go, whether you're doing sports betting or fantasy. Adam, DraftKings, so you got it at plus 450, so that's a good play right there. I got a good feeling about that, Adam. I really do. Now, one thing I wanted to do is before we get into fantasy football talk, I like to go, a little OTD talk, it's called, right, on this day. And, related to Philly sports or sports in general. And some pretty interesting OTDs that I found that I want to share with everybody here and online. Talk about on this day in 2012, despite drawing over 41,000 fans, the Philly streak of 257 consecutive regular season sellouts at Citizens Bank Park, stretching back to July 2009, comes to an end. My man, what's up, brother? How are you, man? Thank you, man. Appreciate it. It comes to an end. Now, think about this. The best part about it is when you talk about that, that's 257. I mean, it's insane to think about that, right? You average about 82 to 84 games, right? This is a home game. So think about that, right? You're talking literally 3.5 years. Right, like you see it back July 2009, right? It is crazy. That's how good they were. We're getting back to that. We had 40,000 in May. I mean, literally, it was like playoff red October atmosphere. So really huge already. You think about those years, man. I know whether people be here at Pike's Pub or whether they be online. You think about those years we had, 2007, 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12. Still think we should have won in 2009. That still pains me with that New York Yankee series. I have nightmares of Jorge Posada. I have nightmares of Johnny Damon. One guy that gets not enough respect in that series is Pedro Martinez, who came in and pitched the lights out in the Bronx, man. In the Bronx, which was great. So another OTD is this is an interesting one. 1894. On this day in 1894, and I don't know if anybody remembers this. I didn't remember this, so this is a really good stat for me. On the morning before a scheduled Monday afternoon game at Philadelphia baseball grounds, later known as the Baker Bowl, the stands burned down. The Phillies then hosted at the University of Penn until the 18th of August. They had to play all their home games there until they were able to rebuild and reopen Baker's Bowl. So that's interesting. Those are 2 OTDs for the Phillies. And again, get ready for the Phillies game tonight, 10-10. Get ready against the Dodgers. I'm telling you, I feel the win. I'm not going to say it's a blowout. I feel the win. I really do. My man Adam, as always standing by. I appreciate it. Again, we're right here live from Pike's Pub. And make sure that, number one, you got 2 things to do, man. There's been a lot of people. We've had about 68 people online, just on YouTube itself, from different areas. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. And if you're on Facebook, very, very easy. Go in there, like the Facebook page. How you doing? Like the Facebook page, okay? And make sure, again, when we're talking Phillies, we're talking Eagles, we're talking best bets, we're talking about fantasy football, we're having fun. And here's the best part. got a microphone here. It's set up. Nobody used it tonight, but I did have 3 people that said next week they're going to jump on this microphone and they're going to give a little X's and O's. 3 former coaches that were here playing some golden tea. Now, some people warned me. They said, don't give them a microphone, but that's okay. Everybody gets a mic here, man. Everybody has some fun because, listen, this is one thing I've learned, whether you're 80 years old or you're 15 years old or you're 55, it doesn't matter. You all remember something in sports that brought you together somehow, some way, whether it be family, whether it be friends, whether even a good memory, whatever it is. And that's what's great about it. It all brings us together. So I'm looking very forward to next week to hearing these guys on a microphone and get ready. And next week we should have a live Phillies game, so we'll be able to ring the bell, man. So because again, I got everything waiting, man. I got everything waiting, and when we hit those bets, and we're ready to go. So right now we're ready to talk a little fantasy football. I don't know how many people here online are playing fantasy football yet, drafted yet, but I can't get enough of it. If you like fantasy football talk, you could join me every Sunday night at 7 to 9, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Sirius XM. Fantasy Sports Radio, Channel 87. I host the Win Daily Show every Sunday night. Been doing it for the last 3 years. When it goes to football season, we will be on Saturday nights from, I think it's either 5 to 7 or 6 to 8. Talking again, fantasy football, best bets. And I also have a lot of Philly people on. Rob Ellis joins me on the program. I guess Chris Franklin on the program. So if you listen to Philly radio, you'll hear those guys on there as well. But again, this is a little something different, full digital product. And we had a ton of calls on the show Sunday night talking about Saquon Barkley. People that were want to know, where do you draft Saquon Barkley? You know, we from Philadelphia know what to expect from the running back position. A lot of people could sit there saying that he's not going to run the ball. They never have a bell cow. They never have a guy that's going to get 200, 250 carries. That's all wrong, man. Throw that out the window. Saquon Barkley is a different dude. He's a different guy. Remember that washed up DeMarco Murray year when we brought in DeMarco Murray? Well, just remember, we brought in DeMarco Murray. We brought him in to be a bell cow. But it just didn't happen because he was washed, right? He was completely washed. That obviously didn't work out under Chip Kelly, which that could be an entire 3-hour show in itself of what happened in that Chip Kelly era. But right now, knowing that they paid so much money for Saquon Barkley and knowing how much of a dynamic playmaker he is, just think about, that's why I tell everybody about Saquon. He had to work his ass off in order to make his own holes. He had to work his ass off in order to make his own reads within the line, the interiors, because their offensive line was terrible. Again, Daniel Jones, he played behind Daniel Jones. He's played behind one of the worst offensive lines of football, okay, for the last few years. Of course, number one, he got hurt. Of course, he got banged up because he had to do everything on his own. He was so goddamn tired. So at 27 years old, he's revitalized. He's rejuvenated, okay? And he's playing behind a line that, guess what? These guys, this offensive line, what they can do is they're going to make it easy for Saquon Barkley. They're going to open those holes up. He's going to, like, we've seen the holes before, right? We've seen the holes before. Now, I get it. There's no Jason Kelsey. Okay, I understand. But he handpicked his replacement in Cam Jurgens. He handpicked the guy, which is great. Okay, which I love. Now, does that mean he's going to be Jason Kelsey? Hell no. I'm not saying he's going to be Jason Kelsey. But what I'm saying is at least he has the tutelage and he has a Hall of Fame offensive line coach in Jeff Stoutland, in Stoutland University. There's a reason why there's a documentary for this guy. So for me, for my money, as much as I don't think that Christian McCaffrey, who already injured, by the way, I don't know if you know this, okay, but already injured. So if you did your draft, okay, if you did your draft already, which it's really, really early, okay, but this is what so the breaking news right now is Christian McCaffrey again goes down sideline with a calf strain. Now, people won't say, calf strain, no big deal. Let me tell you something. When you talk about Christian McCaffrey and a calf strain, you better be a little concerned. That's all I'm saying. So if you're in a keeper league and you're out here and you're getting ready to do your draft, okay, and you're getting ready and you're doing all your studying, just have a backup plan. That's all I'm saying. Have a backup plan. Now, what we did on Sirius, we had a lot of fun. We did a quarterback only draft. We did a running back only first round. 12 picks, right? Me and my co-host went back and forth to see who would be picked where, why they would be picked where. Okay, then when we looked at some of the bets that were given out and that you can either get on DraftKings or FanDuel or BetMGM or Caesars or Bet365, they're all eligible, right? So whatever you can get, we try to give the best number. Now, my co-host drafted, not only drafted Saquon Barkley, but what he also said was he liked the over the 10 plus touchdowns for Saquon Barkley. And I think that's a number that we have to look at when it comes to, number one, our betting research, but number two, our fantasy football research. Because, you know, when we look at his numbers over the course of the years, now remember what I was saying, okay? The best part about Saquon is this is the best team he's been on in a very, very long time, okay? And one thing you'll hear me say, whether you listen to me here at the great Pike's Pub right here at 430 on 2nd Street Pike, right in beautiful Bucks County, Southampton, PA. Make sure you get the home of the $3 deals. I'm telling you, the $3 deals, $3 Mondays, $3 Wednesdays, $3. You got $3 cheesesteaks, you got $3 cheeseburgers, you got 50 or 50-cent wings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I keep saying it, man, Korean barbecue. It's a no-brainer, and you got to get them well. You get those things well done, a little crispy on the tips, and you are in. But Saquon Barkley, 2022, had 10 TDs. That's the first time since his rookie year in 2018 he had double-digit touchdowns. Okay, so that's something we really need to look at because he's on a better team, right? So he dropped from 4.4 to 3. Now they're saying, what are those numbers? Stop giving me numbers. I'm giving you those numbers because I'm showing you what can happen if he gets in upwards of 300 carries, right? So if he gets in upwards of 300 carries, guess what? He's going to get those touchdowns. So that is it. That's a plus 750 bet on DraftKings. And in fantasy, listen, I have Saquon Barkley as my number 2 running back. I really do. I have A.J. Brown as my number 1 wide receiver. See, I'm trying to parlay the Philly sports into the fantasy realm because I'm not trying to be biased. A lot of people say, you know what, it's Philly bias. It's not Philly bias. What it is it's looking at A.J. Brown and looking at, here's what I've said. And anybody following online, make sure you're liking and subscribing. As always, the Heat Ratio Sports Facebook page, all social formats, the Pike's Pub Facebook and Instagram page is always best source of information for all your entertainment. They have a locked-in schedule every single week, and I am thankful and blessed to the man in Matt McCarthy for helping me get here to this point and to bring this talk to all of you and to a national perspective when it comes to YouTube and social media. And Adam says, can't wait to come next Tuesday and get them wings. Adam, I'm telling you, when you're here and you're going to be like, Tony, you were right. Those wings are fantastic. I got to get my boy Rick here too. Celebrate. Got to give a shot at my boy Rick celebrating number 50. Rick, love you, brother. If you come, I got a mic for you, but just don't drink a lot because you get a little crazy. So I gotta make sure you go home to Dara okay and get home safe. But again, we're talking. You say it's hard to tackle Saquon Barkley. Saw him drag 4 guys down the field before. The guy's legs are massive. And that's what's great, whether it be his calves, whether it be his thighs. He's this unbelievable specimen. And if you saw him in training camp so far, he's been fantastic. Now, let me get you back to this A.J. Brown talk for a minute. I want to let you in on a little secret, the way I do things here. So I really dive deep into these numbers. I have to, right? It's one of my jobs. And if I don't, they're going to throw me off the air. They're going to be like, this guy sucks. He's not really doing his homework. But when you look at A.J. Brown, you look at his number, 1456 was what he had in yards last year. The year before, 1496. Let's just say 1500. He averaged 1500 yards. He's averaged 95 catches and 150 targets. Now, everyone's giving me Tyreek Hill. Everybody's Tyreek Hill is that number 1 guy, and I get it, right? Tyreek Hill is a very speedy receiver. Does a lot of damage. Last year, just so you know, had 1799. Let's just say 1,800 yards. Okay? He had 1,800 yards. 300 yards more than A.J. Brown. You play 17 games in a season if healthy. So, you know what that comes out to? 1.7 points per week difference when you average it out. So all those people, in my opinion, that are banking on that touchdown equity in Tyreek Hill and they're drafting this guy, and I'm going AJ Brown because I'm going to tell you what, I say this word a lot. You're going to hear me say, yeah, absolutely. You know where I'm going. I say safe, right? I say the word safe a lot. And I say the word safe a lot because I want to be safe. I want to feel gushy. I want to feel a good feeling in my stomach when I draft a guy in the first 3 rounds that I don't have to take in and out of my lineup, right? It's just like what Rob Thompson does with the Philadelphia Phillies. He wants to feel safe, right? He wants to feel safe when he puts, maybe he should have put a pinch hitter in late last night with JT Realmuto. Who knows? We'll get into that again. Again, I'm not hating on Topper. I think he did all right. Right. I'm not. I am riding the shit with Topper either way. But getting back to AJ Brown, I say safe because you look at those wide receivers. Tyreek Hill, is he going to be electric again? Is he? He's riding who? Tua. Is Tua going to be the guy? Is he going to stay healthy? He got paid. It looks like he got a lot of. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head. 3 weeks ago, we had the #1 beat reporter for the Miami Dolphins on with us on Sirius, and he told us, look, Tua, what he did was he hit the gym, he went on a protein-style diet, and he cut out 15% body fat. So what he did was he said to himself, you know what, I'm going to keep healthy as much as I can at all costs. So if he does do that, yes, that's great for Tyreek Hill, but here's the problem. It's an if. We've already seen AJ Brown do it. Justin Jefferson. Can we do a rookie quarterback? Right? Are you ready to ride a rookie quarterback? I'm not. Right? Again, it's not safe. Puka Nacua. Are you going to be a Puka Nacua guy? I don't want to be a Puka Nacua guy. Guy's already got a knee injury. Am I a Jamar Chase guy? You see where I'm going. None of these guys are safe, man. CD Lamb, he's still not signed with Dallas. Who the hell knows what Jerry Jones is doing out there? So for me, the safest guy is AJ Brown. So I'm being honest, that's who I like as my #1 ranked receiver in fantasy football. A lot of people think I'm crazy. People say it's Philly bias. It's okay, but I give you legitimate facts on why I'm doing it. Another guy that I think a lot of people are sleeping on, man, is Chris Olave. So I talked about this guy, Ohio State's own, right? 24. If you're into fantasy football, and even if you're not, okay, you're just like, hey, I just show up and bet. That's fine. I'm giving you these names. I'm letting you understand who these guys are. There's a 3rd-year wide receiver rule they have to look at. So I'm going to give you a hint, man. If you go on and you do some projections and you do some notes, you do some studying, even if it's 10 minutes before your draft, look at who the 3rd-year wide receivers are. Go pull up their. I use a site which is really cool. It's called fftoday.com. They have a lot of good stats on there. And then what I do is I go to windailysports.com and look at the projections. And then I pull them up. And what I do is I see how old's the receiver and what year are they. If they're in the 3rd year, it's a guy I want to target. The reason why is notoriously 3rd-year wide receivers are when they break out. That's when they're eligible to be maxed out for a contract extension, a 4th-year option, and that's why they usually ball out. They really fall in love with the playbook. They fall in love with everything. And what they do is they know they have that passionate wisdom about them that says, you know what, I not only do I know I'm going to ball out, I need to ball out because I need to get that top dollar, that market. So 3rd-year wide receiver, Chris Olave, I don't care who's throwing him the ball, okay, because even though no matter if it's Derek Carr, no matter, again, Taysom Hill, it doesn't matter. He caught 87 balls last year in 16 games, 72 balls in 15 games last year, but his yards were a little low. He had some concussion issues, this and that. I don't worry about touchdowns. Again, touchdown equity is a premium. Remember that. Touchdown, you can never base any of your projections on touchdowns, right? You just can't because you just never know if that guy's going to score. So when you look at these you're right. Absolutely. I completely agree. If you look at it, 100% you're looking at 3rd-year wide receivers. And Chris Olave is one of those guys you could probably get later on in your 2nd round. And I'm telling you, I'll give you these assists because if you're going with your family, they're probably not studying. What they're doing is they're pulling up a guide. They're drafting whoever's on that USA Today cover. They're printing out a projection model. They're going through that Lindy Sports, fantasy sports magazine. You probably got at Walgreens or CVS right before the draft. And that's what they're going with. So if you watch this show, if you show up at Pike's Pub, you're doing Heat Ratio Sports, and you listen to Sirius XM on the weekends, you're going to be one above them. I'm telling you, I guarantee you. And we're going to give you some bets where you can make some money in this last 20 minutes as well, because there's some really good plays. And speaking of plays, man, already locked in that Trey Turner bet tonight for the Phillies at plus 450. Again, you $10 get you 45. Very easy. If he goes long, he's batting 455. Think about that. See how that works? He's batting 455 against Kershaw. $10 get you 45. It looks too easy, man. It looks too easy. It sounds too good. It does. You just got to do it, man. You just got to do it. So I'm going in on the over 1.5 HRR for Trey Turner. That's hits plus runs plus RBIs. That's at minus 130. So you want to make sure you get that. You can also get Bryce Harper at minus 120 HR. And for the hell of it, let's go to Major League Baseball right now. I'm going to go on draft because I want to see if the money line has changed for the Phillies. The money line for the Phillies was minus 108. The money line is still minus 108, but here you go. The run line went up to more plus money at plus 154. Very, very interesting. Now, pitcher props for the Phillies. Okay, before we get back to fantasy, let's talk some pitcher props for the Phillies. We got Christopher Sanchez over 4.5 Ks at minus 110. That's a very interesting number. Now, I will tell you this. You can go always to the alternate lines. When you go on DraftKings and you go to pitcher props, you go, number one, you just go to MLB. I'm going to show you how to do this. You go to MLB. Okay, you go to the Phillies game. Click on a game and go to pitcher props. And then what you're going to do is you're going to look at those players. It's got both players listed. You got Clayton Kershaw. You got Christopher Sanchez. Okay, Kershaw over 4.5. They're both over 4.5 Ks. Now, yeah. Here's the funny thing, man. You got to look at what they've done recently, right? You have to look at what they've done. And that's the most important part. I always go by a kind of like a 3-game system, okay? I go by a 3-game system. Now, what I also do is we have a great prop model over at WinDailySports.com that I always look at. And the best part about it is, I do my research. I look at the prop model, and then I bet best educated guess. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to log in to Win Daily Sports. I'm going to go to our prop model, and I want to check out what we're looking at when it comes to tonight's Phillies game. Now, we have two things. We have a prize picks prop model, and we have a prop better prop model that's going to list every single sports book, which is huge, right? Every single sports book, which is huge. So right now, if we look at these over and under pitchers for tonight, I'm going to go right to Christopher Sanchez. And first of all, we have the under at a 35% edge for Clayton Kershaw. Okay. I'll tell you, man, you get a little old school hip hop in here too, man, popping off. We'd like to hear that. You're going to hear that in the background. So you look at Clayton Kershaw and they're looking at the under. So I could see that right there. I could definitely see the under for Kershaw because remember what I said earlier, he hasn't fared too well. He's been getting a short leash, a quick hook, and I think he's going to have a quick hook again tonight, man. So I think that's something to really keep an eye on. Now, Christopher Sanchez, the over at DraftKings earlier was at plus money. A plus 100 over 4.5. You can get it at Caesars at minus 108. Okay, if you have a Caesars account, because right now it's at minus 110, so it's getting up there. And you know what that means. What does the line tell you? If it opened at plus money and now it's at negative money, which means it's getting juiced up, that means more money is coming in, okay, and it's more likely to hit that under, or I should say that over. I'm thinking of Kershaw again with the under. So I like 100%. I like the over for Christopher Sanchez at minus 110. That's over 4.5 strikeouts. And then you can also go to the alternate lines. If you go to the alternate line, say you think he's going to have 6, you have plus money at plus 130 for Kershaw and plus 170 for Sanchez. That's a big number. That's a big, big number. Now, if you think Christopher Sanchez is going to record a win, plus 160, or if Kershaw is plus 235, that's just showing you. When you see a big plus number like that, plus 235, that just means they don't think he's going to finish the game. Okay, it just shows you he's not going to finish the game, right? Hits allowed over 4.5 at minus 145. That means he's going to get hit. Christopher Sanchez over 5.5, minus 160. Now, I'm not saying Vegas is 100% right, but you always got to hear what the line tells you, what the numbers tell you. And that's what they're dictating right there. Now, when you look at the offensive side of the ball, You get to those batter props. We talked about the home run numbers because I do think there'll be a couple home runs flying out tonight against Kershaw. Do I go lefty versus lefty? No, I don't. I will tell you this. We did lock in Trey Turner at plus 450. I'm going to lock in Nick Castellanos at plus 400 for a home run tonight. And the reason why I'm going to lock that in is because he's been hitting the crap out of the ball. And he's one of the hardest workers on that team. And the way he's really going with the ball, right? He's keeping his head down. I'll tell you, man, I just think it's a matter of time before he starts clearing the fence a couple times in this series. So right now, you can get that number. It actually dropped. So I'm on to something here, people. I'm telling you, I'm on to something because now the number dropped to plus 360 on DraftKings, which means money is coming in, man, on Nick Castellanos to go long tonight. And then you can actually get it at plus 520 at FanDuel and plus 550 at BetMGM. See, that's why it's important to shop those numbers, man. You want to shop those numbers, important. So let's go Turner for the home run prop at plus 450. Let's go Castellanos at plus 550 on BetMGM. So we want to make sure that we hit that. I'll put that in the comments as well. So again, I'm going to put that in the comments so people don't forget. Let's go Casty home run prop at plus 550 at BetMGM. Now, the most important thing about that is make sure you get to the right sports book. Make sure you get the right sports book and you get the right number. Casty home run prop plus 550 on BetMGM. Let's have some fun. Let's ring the damn bell tonight and let's get a winner. Now, getting back to a little bit of fancy talk real fast, I want to bring up, another one of the quarterbacks that I think, people are kind of overlooking, man. There used to be a rule that everybody used to wait for old man Rivers, Phillip Rivers, right? Everybody used to say, we'll just wait for Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, we could draft in the 7th or 8th round. Nobody's going to look at him. We don't have to waste our time on a quarterback because right now, listen, Jalen Hurts is your number one guy. Okay, Jalen Hurts is your number one guy in fantasy football, man. I mean, his numbers are his number one. So I'm curious to see if anybody else is drafting him number one. I know I'm drafting him number one overall. But again, a lot of people are overlooking Jordan Love, man. I'm telling you, and they're overlooking Jaden Daniels. Who would have thought we'd be talking about a Washington Commander quarterback, right? But somebody's got to throw the ball. And I do think Caleb Williams in Chicago, this is a very dynamic playmaker. Okay. So not often do I say start a quarterback as a rookie in fantasy football. It's really tough. But this dude carried both Oklahoma and Southern Cal, 94-14 touchdown to interception ratio in college. Are you kidding me? Number one, he's got a top 10 defense out there in Chicago. And, oh, by the way, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and who did he? Oh, DeAndre Swift at the running back position. He still got Cole Kmet out there. And listen, he is throwing a really good ball out there, man. I'm extremely excited. And then if you just go down the road, go down the turnpike a little bit, and you look at Pittsburgh, you look at the Steelers. I don't know if there's any Steelers fans in here. I know my mom's a Steelers fan. My boy Pittsburgh, John Coker, is a Steelers fan. But again, looking at, is it going to be Russell Wilson? Is it going to be Justin Fields? I'll tell you what, man, Justin Fields is making, he took that opportunity. Russ got hurt for a couple of days. He came in and he had that training camp, man. They were soaring out there in Pittsburgh. And this is what I will say. This is why I say, again, this Heat Ratio Sports, Tony Cutillo. You can follow me at Rise with Tony on all social formats. Follow Heat Ratio Sports to follow the show everywhere you get your podcast from. Look at this guy. Is that a Peglo? I don't know. I think I know that kid right there, but that's okay. It looks like one of my buddy's friends. But, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, when my draft comes up, I am going to really look at these Pittsburgh Steelers, man, at this quarterback position. Because Justin Fields, when you have a coach like Eberflus last year and you look at that, he's a confidence killer, man. Everything that happened with Chicago is a confidence killer. And, the confidence killer for the Bears, when you're a young quarterback in Justin Fields, what happens with Justin Fields is, again, his confidence gets shot. and he needs somebody. And what better guy than Mike Tomlin to be able to pick that kid up, to show him, look, man, you got it. This is your squad, and learn under the tutelage of Russell Wilson. Whether you think anything about Russell Wilson or not, the guy's still a guy that, number one, plays the game the right way, okay, trains the right way, and he can instill a lot of wisdom on a young guy. So I would look at those two guys, man. And again, I'm a big George Pickens guy, a big believer in George Pickens. Now, they might get Brandon Ayuk. Looks like there could be a trade in the works with Cleveland or Pittsburgh for Brandon Ayuk from the San Francisco 49ers. So breaking news with that right now is they're working on the logistics of a contract. So will that hurt the value of George Pickens? I think it'll enhance the value of George Pickens. I really do, because now he's not going to get all the coverage. Who are you going to cover? I mean, you look at Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown right here in Philadelphia, and the best thing about both of those guys is they complement each other so well. Right, Devontae Smith, the best thing about him is he's a fantastic route runner. He's got hands of steel, right? In a good way. In a good way, meaning they can throw that machine as hard as they want. He's going to catch that damn ball. He's like, remember the show, the movie Little Giants with Rick Moranis and Ed O'Neill. He was like, the little kid with the stickum on his jerseys, man. That's like Devontae Smith, man. What was that? The annexation of Puerto Rico was that play that they ran. That was a great movie, man, back in the day. Icebox. I'm sure, my daughter, man, she reminded me of an Icebox. I'll tell you that. She probably beat my ass. And I've always said that there was a barroom brawl. If a barroom brawl broke out right here, right now, I ain't calling my buddies, I call my daughter. I think I trained her too well with the heavy bag, because she could definitely hold her own for sure. But getting back to the fantasy talk, let me look at running backs real fast before we finish this up with a live preview of the Phillies game, as promised, before we get out of here, to give you those bets again, talk about what we're looking about for the game. But Isaiah Pacheco is a guy that I've never been fully in on. But if you're drafting, and whether you're drafting this weekend, whether you're drafting tonight, whether you're drafting Labor Day weekend, it doesn't matter. Isaiah Pacheco is a guy that nobody's going to look at, okay? And he's going to be a first-round talent that you're going to get in the third round, because he has no competition for carries. And if you've seen it slowly but surely, Andy Reid decided to trust this guy in the end of the year when they're playing for playoff positioning, in the playoffs, in the big dance. He wasn't worried about nobody else except Isaiah Pacheco. So again, this kid, I call him a kid because he's still young. He's a very fiery individual. And when you have Travis Kelce getting up there in age and starting to be a guy that maybe held him more to block or be possibly a decoy. Okay, because now you did draft Xavier Worthy. We're not sure what's going to happen with the suspensions of Rashid Rice, but either way, Isaiah Pacheco is going anywhere from the 7th to 15th running back selected. I don't know who the hell is doing these drafts, but he's a guy that you can get in double digits in an ADP in a second or third round. That's going to be your number one starter, man. I'm telling you, nobody's looking at him because they're thinking it's the old Pacheco. But if you dive deep in the numbers, that's a guy you absolutely want to look at. And another guy I'll give you before we get to the baseball game is Tajay Spears. I love Tajay Spears. Don't worry about Tony Pollard. This is Tajay Spears' name. This is his game. This is his team in Tennessee. I love it. My man Albert checking in. Says Philly's going to be tough this year. Albert, man, we're going to be tough this year, man. We're going to be tough this year. But you know what? There's a lot of tough teams this year in the NFL. The NFL is full of parity all the time. And, team with free agency and proper drafting and the lineage of more coaches coming in from the college ranks, bringing those ridiculously eccentric offenses, it just gets better every single year. And the teams just get tougher. Speaking of tougher, let's finish up these last 10 minutes and talk Phillies Dodgers. Again, live from Pike's Pub right here in Southampton, PA, on 2nd Street Pike, 400 2nd Street Pike. You can get here. The special tonight is 50-cent wings every Tuesday and Thursday. And like I said earlier, man, just to give you a quick rundown on what we got going on here with the specials. Number one, the kitchen of specials every single night. But speaking of specials and entertainment, Wednesday nights, you got music bingo. So tomorrow's music bingo with DJ Rick from 9. I hope that's not my boy Rick. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. But with DJ Rick, 9 to whenever. I love the whenever. Thursday, Quizzo with DJ MCX, 10 to whenever. And then Friday, karaoke with DJ Billy from Q901. And Saturday live music. Check out the Facebook page. Like I said, if you go to the Facebook page on Pike's Pub, make sure you're getting on there because number one, you see all the good reviews, you'll see all the good pics of the food, and you're going to get the proper information live as it comes out. They update it every single day. Also, happy hour menu from 4 to 6, 50 cents off all their drinks. And then Mondays, I keep telling you, $3 deals, man. You got to get to the $3 deals. $3 cheeseburgers on Mondays. 50-cent wings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, $3 cheese steaks on Wednesdays, and $3 pizzas on Fridays, man. I don't know where you can eat for $3, man. You can eat, you can play golden tea. Okay, you can have a good drink. You can play darts. You can watch sports on 15 TVs. You can listen to great music. And on Tuesday nights, you can hear some great sports talk right here with myself and all the patrons here at Pike's Pub and everybody online checking in, courtesy of Heat Ratio Sports. Now, let's dive into this game that the Phillies have to win, man. Okay. The vote is now up to 81%. Are people saying it's a major concern? Listen, I don't think I'm not worried. I keep telling people this. People have been hitting me up. No, I'm not worried. I'm not. Like, again, this is a different team. You heard people again talk about, is this a different team in 2024? I think it is, right? But here's the thing. Speaking of the betting, my boy Rocco checked in earlier. Shout out Thackeray Crane. My boy Rocco checked in and was like, yo, man, now the money needs to go on the Phillies because now everybody's coming out. Everybody's talking about, here we go. Here we go. It's going to be the demise. It's going to be the collapse. Atlanta's coming back. They're right up our tails. And now because of that, next thing you know, guess what? Those numbers start to drop on a Philly. You start to get that positive money. You start to get that less juice on those numbers because that's how it all works. Everybody talks about it. And if you heard Mad Dog Russo come out today, I played a clip earlier. Listen, he thinks out of everybody, the Phillies are the most likely team to fall back out of first place. That's never going. I'm telling you right now, that is not going to happen. The Phillies it might get hairy. It's actually hairy right now at 5 to 6 games, right? We were a double-digit lead. They basically damn near cut it in half. Okay, but what I will say is now is the time to jump on. Now is the time to jump on. So we got a big game tonight because this, in my opinion, this is a must-win. And there's not many must wins when we talk about August 6th. But I'm telling you right now, man, you cannot lose another series just for your own mental stability from a team, just from all the angst and all the over effort that you're putting in and day out in the cage, in the weight room, in the locker room where you're talking about team meetings, where you're talking like just everything about it. It just weighs on you mentally, man. There's such a bigger part of sports when it comes to the mental aspect. And it is huge. It is huge. And that's one of the biggest things that we need to look at on why, in my opinion, this is a must win. And you could still get that money line bet. Okay. You could still get the money line bet right now at -108. I mean, it's damn near plus money, man. Like, I still don't understand why it's damn near plus money. And again, we got Christopher Sanchez, pitching. He needs to get back on track. I talked about that. Everybody keeps talking about the bats. It's not the bats, man. We need to get the bullpen back to where it was. We need to get the starting pitchers back to where it was, just like Zach Wheeler did the other night when he went strong. We can't have Aaron Nola giving up that really bad inning again. He's been great, but it's got to stop, and Christopher Sanchez needs to get back on track, and I feel like he will tonight. This is a game because here's what I will say. One good thing about Sanchez is he worked on all the offseason about putting a couple notches onto his fastball. He was hitting 91, 92 last year. And right now he's up to 94 to 97. That's huge. And when you're throwing that sick changeup, I'll tell you right now, man, when you're throwing that sick changeup, you throw that heat, that is wicked, especially when you're a tall presence on the mound, that left-handed approach. Now, what will be key is the strike zone. A lot's been made about the strike zone. Will he get pitches? Now, I will say this. Glasnow throws really hard. So last night, when you throw really hard, like Glasnow does, and Nola was throwing a lot less heat last night, so it's more predictable for the umps to miss some of those calls. But tonight, when you're going up against Clayton Kershaw, they're going to be more on point because they're more the same style pitcher, so they're going to command basically the same style of strike zone. So I think that's something to really watch and key in on. And speaking of props for pitchers, right now you get Christopher Sanchez. I'm telling you, man, I maybe I'm crazy here, but I do like it's only over 4.5. That's it. It's only over 4. You only need 5 strikeouts, in a commanding, decisive game at -110. So I really like that number. I think that's something that you can really put a couple dollars on and you can really do well. And again, if you're a betting kind of person, not everybody is a betting kind of person. I will say this. Do it in moderation. I have people that hit me up in Discord all the time. People call in the serious on the weekends, and they say, man, I'm betting this, I'm betting that. I'm like, yo, relax, man. Just don't bet over your head. It can get addictive. 1-800-GAMBLER, right? You got to be careful, just like anything in this world. But, if you slow your roll and you're very conducive to your bankroll, you will be okay. And again, don't forget, if you're listening to the stream, you're listening here, you want to get into betting. If you don't have an account, listen, man, if you use the code word HEAT, H-E-A-T, you can get 50% off right now. And for $7.50 at WinDailySports.com, it'll give you all the models, all the bets, all the odds, all the free money every single day for $7.50 with that 50% off code. And I guarantee you'll make that money back in a week easily and probably pay for your month and then pay for your year. That's how it works at WinDailySports.com, code word HEAT. Looking at some batter props as we get out of here. We talked about Casty. I like his home run prop tonight. He's been hitting the ball really hard. He does well against that. It's back up to +400 when we locked in at +380 again, or actually +550. We shopped the line and got it at BetMGM. Talked about Trey Turner. Trey Turner as another prop for a home run ball. We talked about that as well. We had that at +450. That's staying at +450. Now, talking about HRR, I'll close out on this. This is one of the best bets that you can make and one of the most easily attainable numbers if you get it right. And again, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but if over hits plus runs plus RBIs, right? So if you get over 1.5, that means you just need 2 hits, you hit. A hit, you score a run, you hit. 2 RBIs, you hit. 2 runs scored, you hit. It's a very easily attainable number if you pick the right guy in the right matchup, okay? Like just for instance, Brandon Marsh is over a half. Means he's just got to get a hit, score a run, get an RBI, but it's -175. You're not winning any money on that, man. There's no value in that number, -175. That's ridiculous. What you want to get is closer to that plus money number. JT Realmuto over 1.5 at -110. He's been in a slump for me. I'm not looking at him. I like Castellanos over 1.5 at -110 to coincide with the home run prop at +550. I think looking at that, if you put the home run prop down, right, $10 gets you 55. Okay. And then if you put the other $10 on the -1, tell you about $20 tonight, guess what? You're walking away with $70 in your pocket. You paid $750 for the membership and boom, call it a day. You just pay for your entire month. Again, it has to hit. We'll see. You can see the Dodger numbers looking like guys like Teoscar Hernandez at -160. It's very juiced up. It looks like, again, that they're expecting him to do well. And listen, that dude is a beast, man. Like I talked about him before the home run derby. He was a guy I was in on, whether, when he was in Toronto. I really liked him when he was in Toronto, man. He played a really good role out there in Toronto. And I knew he was a really good bat for the Dodgers to get. Really grounded, humble dude, man. Respects the game, respects the players. And that's something that you don't always get, man. So that is a huge deal for me. And listen, Freddie Freeman, we talked about that. We can end on that. Shout out to Freddie Freeman, everything going on with his son, 3 years old. Again, he's working through recovery. Was hearing him nice things to say, that he had a lot of love for the Phillies organization, that really contacted him privately. Because I've said this before and I'll say it again. baseball, football, it's a brotherhood, man. It's a brotherhood. And it's, I worked in a union for 21 years. I was in the United Steelworkers Union, and when one brother went down, guess what? We all went down. We all supported each other, and that's what sports is, man. It's a brotherhood. It's a union. So that's what they do. They support each other. So I'm taking the Phillies money line tonight, -108. I'm trying to ring the bell. Again, we're taking the home run props for Trey Turner, for Casty, and we're going to try to ring that bell and have some fun, man. This has been great. Tony Cutillo, Heat Ratio Sports. I'll get this out here on this. My man Food says, what was your take of the Phillies at the deadline? I'll close out on this, Foods. I was very happy, man. We didn't give up a ton of prospects that were, top-notch prospects. I think Dombro, hit the right buttons on who we brought in. I do think Austin Hayes will be exactly what we need. If people don't think listen, he's not Jason Worth, so everybody relax. Okay, you can compare him to Hunter Pence a little bit, but I think he's more of an Aaron Rowan type player. He's a gritty kind of player. He wears no bat and gloves. He's old school, high socks, high motor, high baseball IQ. That's the kind of great clubhouse guy. That's the kind of guy you want. And listen, man, Carlos Estevez, man, that dude is an absolute beast as a closer. It's something that you wanted. You really sought after. You need it. It puts Alvarado back in a setup. Different kind of role. If he loses command, you can go to a different guy. So I really like it. And listen, it frees up Hoffman as well. I mean, you talk about the bridge the lids, right? In 08, when you had where you had Madsen, who came out of nowhere. Ryan Madsen was unbelievable. You had Scott Air. You had J.C. Romero, right? You had Chad Durbin. You had these guys come out of the bullpen when you needed them. And then, again, Brad Lids just locks it down. So I love the move, man. I absolutely love the move. Listen, like I said, everybody's been a fantastic show. 3 hours, man. It was great. We talked live bets. We talked fantasy football. Shout out to Chris Franklin from NJ.com at C Franklin News for joining us, giving us some fantastic insight. Shout out to the Golden Tea Boys over here that want to grab a microphone next week. Can't wait for that. And shout out to Pike's Pub and my man Matt for making this happen and keeping us going as we go week to week and we get some more live sports talk going. Because just remember something, man. At Heat Ratio Sports, we're not just Philly. We talk about everything, and you don't have to always listen to the dial to get real sports personalities. I'm telling you that right now. Just if you want an alternative, check us out. Starting up a morning show in September, be live Monday through Friday. Can't wait for that. 10 a.m. Not trying to rival anybody, just something I want to do to have some fun and talk sports every single day with all the fans, as always, and the supporters. You guys been with me from day one, man. So much appreciated. Everybody, as always, like I say, everybody have a safe and fantastic night. If you're drinking here, drink up, but be careful. Watch that weather out there. Watch those alerts. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy. I appreciate everybody checking in. Albert, my man, great show as always. We'll be talking this week, buddy. I'm telling you, I'm going to get you involved in this thing. Starting off big. Heat Ratio Sports. Make sure you're following all social formats. And most importantly, follow that Pike's Pub account on Facebook. Follow that Pike's Pub account on Instagram and get all those specials. The home of the $3, man. I'm telling you, you can't beat it. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy. And we'll catch you back here next week.